Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing. Actually, Hospitality Marketing. Remember, I keep changing the name for the show. Show number 201. We are in the 200s and just a month and a half shy of our 5-year anniversary of doing this weekly. Every week, every Friday, had been every Wednesday. We change it from time to time, try to find the more popular time. And now simulcast in HSMAI APAC and HSMAI EU. So we're global, 28 countries, all good and fine. And with me coming soon right now is Mr. Edward St. Ange from Flip2. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, Mr. Ed.
Sir? How's it going?
Doing well, settling back into office life.
Just in time to leave, right?
Just in time to leave for High Tech in Rock next week, as a matter of fact. Yes, a few days of respite. And then when I get back from that, I'll start purging all the clutter that comes from saying I'll do it tomorrow.
That's tomorrow you's problem.
That's right. That's what I've been saying. But my wife has reminded me that tomorrow is now today and get on it. So I do have a lot of, I'll get to it later stuff.
She's telling you that today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday?
Yes. And that the present is the only thing you have if you wanted to have a future.
Amazing.
But anyways, Mr. Robert put a nice little list of us together. A couple of little ones in there that I was like, what? I don't know if I want to stay in Tony Stark's house. But the ones that I liked, the few that caught my eye, was frustration with online travel booking continues as customers consult more websites. Ironically, a FocusWire article, nothing related to Mr. Robert, I'm sure, although Linda Fox did that one. Then there's a Bloomberg one, hospitality. Airlines and hotels take on travel websites. That was interesting. And another FocusWire one I liked, which was what happens to rate parity when Airbnb is an online travel agency, which I think he threw in there for the benefit of Stuart, since Stuart loves talking about Airbnb. I don't know if Mr. Stewart's going to make it today, though.
Well, then why did he send us his data? We're going to talk about it without him?
Well,
he doesn't get to bask in the beautifulness of the insights.
Well, he said the big huge disclaimer he sent it to us was your eyes only, can't share, blah blah blah, because they want to get they want the thunder at High Tech. They want to. The only thing I want to give him grief about though is in this day and age, and with people going to conferences like this, you try to purge again all the clutter that you accumulate walking around all these booths. Why are you handing out paper product?
Well, why not?
Because you have to lug it. Why not QR code it or Bitly it or something where they can just grab it and boom, and they download it and they can read it on their electronics later? What? Maybe you have an alternative opinion on this. Maybe
I actually asked him to ship me some of these because I'm going to use some of this content in a presentation I'm making to a hotel group, and he asked me how many I wanted. I said 10. And he said, okay. And I said, well, because I want a couple to hand out if someone really wants it, but then I want to send everyone else his way.
Yeah, no, that's very nice of you. I mean,
so he may be doing the same thing. Maybe he just wants some to hand out.
If it's that, then I can understand. But if it's boxes of stuff he's lugging to hand out to people,
I don't think it's boxes. I mean, I really don't.
Okay.
But I will also say, I would mail these to people. If I was,
now there's value in printed material. Do not get me wrong. I do not say give up on.
You heard it here first. Lauren says printed material is dead.
I love printed. No, I love it. As a matter of fact, and one of my clients from way back in the day sending snail mail reminder stuff was very, very positive. It was great. People love getting stuff in the mail.
Yeah.
Since so much.
By the way, I hate getting stuff in the mail.
Yeah, but you're weird anyway, so it doesn't really
count.
I am
weird. I'm very weird that way.
I think that because most stuff doesn't come your way by mail anymore.
Right.
If you have something to show up in the mail, and it's a nice thing, it's a little Chotsky thing, not some flyer junk that you get from HFT, no. But anyways.
I would wait. I'd wait just to make sure you're still able to get in, Lauren, before you're going to throw shade on them. Wait till next week.
That's true too, right? I should be. What? Oh, Stuart is possibly joining us.
All right. Oh, by the way, did you see on LinkedIn today that Dan Waxman randomly ran into Tim Peter at San Francisco Airport?
Get out. No way. Yeah. I did not see that.
Yep. Posted a picture and everything. I thought it was very funny.
Oh, that's neat. Well, we're going to see. I'll see Dan next week. He's supposed to be at High Tech. I think he's actually speaking at Rock. Mr. Stewart.
Hey guys,
Butler.
how
The
is
man,
everybody
the
doing?
man himself. I was concerned. Lauren said he didn't think you were coming, and I said, then why did Stuart share his travel study with us?
Yeah, well, I didn't quite expect the reception I got, but I've realized that Robert Cole is like. You ever watched the movie Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
ever seen that?
Yeah.
So Mick Dundee has a friend called Walt.
Yep.
Mhm.
And one of the things he says in the movie is, if you want a problem resolved, you just tell Walt, and he tells everyone, and it's not a problem anymore. So apparently, Robert Cole is Walt. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reminded Ed that you had said, this is just for us to read and so forth and so on. And Robert,
Yeah,
decides he wants
that's fun.
Yeah, I think he's trying to add more thunder for you for next week. But I did
That's all good.
I did tell Ed I didn't understand why you did printed material, and he was defending your choice of doing printed material as handouts at conferences. My question was, at conferences, people accumulate a lot of stuff and then they purge before they pack. And
But here's the thing, right? So to get it, we scan your badge, and then we'll email you a digital copy as well. So,
there we go. See, I knew Stuart had a
Yeah.
better answer.
but I want to give people a reason to come to our booth to pick this up,
Right.
So that we know that they want it.
You know how
So-
many people are going to leave that booth with this and show someone else at
Yeah.
the show? I mean,
Exactly.
Josh,
and then they'll be,
Lauren.
where'd you get that from? Hey, it's over there at booth whatever.
yeah.
And
Look
and
for
we do the printing in house. This is the beautiful piece.
Oh, it's nice.
We do all the printing in house, so it doesn't cost us a whole lot to produce.
Oh, that's
these.
nice.
So,
You printing in house, so you got a pretty spiffy printer then.
Have you not
Oh,
been to
we've
their
got-
office?
we've got some
No.
Mac Daddy printers here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like so their office is like full blown craziness because they're a subsidiary of a large agency.
Yeah. We got all the things going on here.
All the toys, except for a
Yeah.
hologram. You don't have a hologram.
You know, I looked at it, Lauren, and I was contemplating getting it, and the way they sell it is they looks like it's 3D going up, but it's not. You have to look straight onto the fan, right? So I'd have to mount it up on the banner somehow. So I decided I might get one, but not quite yet. So,
Okay.
Just-
Actually,
yeah.
no,
Get
it's
one of the
okay.
smoke based ones. People would love that at
Yeah,
a
that would
trade
be
show.
cool. That's more 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
there's
true.
probably regulations about
I find that a
know?
charcoal smoke gives the
Yeah,
best
like a nice
bandwidth.
hickory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hickory so that does go well in a confined that conference space. Yeah. Hey, so I was throwing up a couple of puns. Robert threw in a couple in there. One I think potentially for you, which is the Airbnb one, which is
I'll be
coming
honest,
in.
I didn't read any of them today. Usually I
So,
actually do and pretend I don't.
Interesting,
But today I didn't.
interesting story about Airbnb. So Richard Dunbar from my team has recently been interviewing people from OPMA that we had meetings with to do kind of an educational piece. And OPMA is the On-Site Property Managers Association, so condo hotels. And an interesting insight, which I think is funny, and it's very indicative of our industry, is he talked to a bunch of people about Airbnb specifically, and how they felt it was doing for them, because a lot of this group has started distributing on Airbnb, and it's been fairly negative, except for one. And the one that was like, actually, we're killing it on Airbnb. And so he asked him, do you know why? And he said, yeah, absolutely. We completely assigned someone to be our Airbnb specialist. And we approach adjusting how our product is marketed to be more of what the Airbnb user expects. But we also call out what is incredibly different about staying at one of our properties versus what you normally get with an Airbnb. Who would have thought to adjust to a channel
Makes a lot of sense.
to actually meet the need of the consumer versus, I'm sure everyone else who was complaining about it doing nothing did the connection, ported over all their stuff on how they present themselves on their own sites and stuff, and just said, yeah, it's not doing anything. Airbnb doesn't work.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah.
imagine so.
Who'd have
Mr. Robert
thought that you need a
Colster, we were
strategy
talking
and
about
plan?
you.
I heard you talking about me. So.
We noticed that there was
Yeah.
a abnormal amount of focus
How-
wire
how are you?
content today.
Well, and Stuart, being a good Australian, the way he is, as I figure out by his accent, is obviously representing an Australian movie. So
Right.
No, we were talking a little bit about the conference.
That's
No, this was intentionally to put Stuart on the spot because I didn't know if he wanted us to do it or not, but I thought I would promote it.
Before we dive into some of the articles,
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
You went,
Well, there you go.
yesterday, sir, when I was talking with you, you made a point on something, and I thought that it would be kind of interesting to see if anybody has put this together or whether you would think it worth it. But you made the comment, nobody likes the PMS. And I agreed with you because nobody likes the PMS. There's always some limitation or some incapacity, or some integration that's not capable or limitation, whatever. Has anybody really put together a matrix of comparison of the lead PMSs as to a column of functionality requirements and then portray them in a matrix to show how they all show up against each other? I mean,
Hotel Tech Report?
Did they?
No.
No?
No, not to that level. We've got the
No.
blueprints for it. We've talked about it internally, doing something and kind of compiled a lot of the information, but we haven't put it together pretty yet. But I think it would be good.
Yeah. I've
I mean,
presented
a lot of
that
it's
concept.
subjective, though, right?
Yeah,
A lot of the problems are subjective.
Yeah, I've presented that concept to a couple of organizations who are very interested, but nobody's bitten on it because I really think there's a huge opportunity in the industry to do a Gartner style, what are these organizations doing? And then when you deep dive into different products, what's the functionality and the capabilities sort of thing. But it's also very complicated. It's very complicated. For
I mean, you can go into a rat's nest of detail that you get too far on. I thought if it was a layered effect, there's certain core things that is like level one, that these functionalities have to exist in some functionality form and draw the commonalities between all of them. Then a level two, which is the integrations and implementations, CRM capabilities, whatever, booking compatibilities, whatever. And then a level three, which is more of the subjective stuff, which is the, can it do these little quirky things? Can it do these little things? What are some unique features of each that the others may not have that they're highlighting about themselves as kind of a distinction factor?
Yeah.
But,
I've done it before.
Because to your point, I've gone through this exercise before of going through and auditing somebody's tech stack. And one of the most painful things is looking at the primary core things like PMS, CRM systems, and so forth, and their compatibilities, integrations, usabilities. And it turns into a menagerie of this is great with this, but not this. It works with that, but not that. It's a mess. So anyway, I just thought it was a neat idea.
I've done work with two private equity companies, and on both cases, they wanted to look at the whole hospitality tech stack, and this was over a period of probably 4 years, sort of thing. So certainly not simultaneous, but both of them intentionally decided to avoid PMS. Right, so we did RMS, CMS, just everything around for the core, kind of the core functionality, booking engines, all that to lay out, and a couple acquisitions, happened because of it, but PMS was just literally too much of a rat's nest to really drill down. The one thing that I think will help, and I'll probably be plugging on the show, the HTNG Universal Global Identifier, or Unique Global Identifier, not universal, but maybe universal, I don't know. But right now it'll be terrestrial, I think, for hotels. But I think one of the things for that is if you can have a unique ID for these hotels, and then that property can say, oh, we are using such and such, version of this PMS, and here's where you can go get the endpoint for our API, and you're authorized to go use it. I think that will wind up opening up a lot of capabilities.
Wow.
Where folks will go, oh, you've got such and such, we connect to that. That's perfect. Or we have a subset of connectivity because that one, only does 2/3 of whatever, messaging spec.
Stuart, how hard with what you do, because you do all the integrations, your booking engine, and so forth, and you've gone through this exercise in a real first person experience with this. How crazy would it be to build something that is you select the system that you have, and then it shows you at what level it connects or doesn't connect with other systems?
It would be tough because every PMS does things so differently. It's
right.
Well, and normalizing
normalizing
what they call things.
Right. The nomenclature
right.
is completely different. The specs are different. Some are push, some are pull. So, it's all over the place. We were actually talking to Agilysys last week for Visual One integration, and they actually don't have an API that you write to. They write to your spec, which is crazy. Like how
It's
many
always been
integrations
like
have they
that.
had to build?
But
It
it's
just doesn't
always
make
been
any
like
sense.
that. Well, and that's why when we had before check-in on, when was that, a year or two ago,
Yep.
right? They wound up, their first thing was an Agilysys integration to provide a PCI compliant deposit handling capability, right? Which you would
Mhm.
think
Right.
would be the most basic, especially for large PMSs with large group operations and things like that.
And you
That
would think
be
it would be 2005 that happened.
Exactly. Yeah, if not 2002 or 99 or something like that. But yeah, they built that, and then they went to Oracle and did the same thing because they didn't have one. Right?
Right.
It's just absolutely crazy. Sometime I think it's available on the internet. If you look up Oracle's, basically their table of connectivity of all the different versions of their software and what it
Theirs is
connects up,
pretty good.
but it's 800 pages long and
I
like
know,
four
man.
point-
When you know what you're
4.9.
looking for, I mean,
Oh no, that's
Yeah.
it's actually pretty good that they publish it because, man, what a bear.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not publishing it the first time, it's keeping it accurate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but that's that you look at it and go, oh crap. That's absolutely insane. And then you go,
fun
oh,
fact,
that's why Oracle wants to get that to the cloud.
Fun fact, Fuel is going to be added to their list of approved vendors here pretty shortly. We just went through
Yay.
certification this week. And
Congrats
got
on
approved.
spending your $24,000.
It wasn't. It's a lot less. They've redone
Have they redone it?
Yeah, I
And
think
how
it will
long did
end
it
up
take?
being about that once we get all our products integrated. But for just the booking engine piece, it was not that much.
Nice.
That's good. And how long did the certification process take from start to end?
Once we actually, for development, it was about 60 days for us. But the whole process started taking about 6 months because it's
they gotta get that.
it's them waiting on them a lot. And then having to remind them that you're waiting on them a lot, and then eventually they respond. But
it's down from 9 months, guys.
Yeah. Well, we were very quick at the development. We'd already done a good chunk of the work before we actually submitted the paperwork. So
I like Expedia's approach. Have you done that one yet, Stuart?
with Ian, is that?
No, like to be able to connect up and distribute rates and inventory to them.
Yeah, David is doing that right now. On
You log in,
team.
you register an account, you tell them what kind of connection you want. They give you the specs and the testing environment. You don't even have to talk to someone. You
Really?
can, and I believe you can automatically certify to it.
Yeah.
That's the way PMSs should be. That's the way they should all be.
You know, the core
19
systems of the industry should make it easy for things to connect.
1999 at Budget Rent-A-Car, we built an app server to go, connect up to get into the central res system, which was actually licensed from Avis, weirdly enough, at that time, where the two companies weren't connected. But it was just horrible. It was like Agilysys, right? You just couldn't get stuff in and out. So we spent some money and some time, built some middleware. And that's what we did. We wound up with a test you had a test harness, so you could have messaging, go back and forth, and you could just go hammer away at it. We had a simulated load tester type thing to go, okay, now let's see what happens if you really wind up getting some pressure on this. And it was great. And all of a sudden, boom, in 1 year, we did an integration with Southwest Airlines, Priceline, Europcar, because all of our stuff was done. It was all documented. It was all to the open travel spec. And it's like, it's all there. Just go, and it wasn't our problem to work with, right? And we gave them everything. Just go, here's what you do. You can go do whatever you want on an adapter level on your side. If you want us to do something, that might take a while, but here's everything you need. And yeah, that is the way it should work. And it's not something like, oh, you need new technology to do it. That was I was using Java or something back in 1999. So not anything fancy.
All right. How
So
did
I
we
was
get
going
on this
through-
topic?
I was going through the Airbnb article a little bit more. I didn't read the last section on the impact thing. I missed that when I was going through it. It was kind of an interesting point. They're talking. The article, I'll put the link up here, is what happens to rate parity when Airbnb is an online travel agency. And I know Stuart loves talking about Airbnb. But this article was kind of good in the sense that it's talking about its engagement with OYO because that's why I was digging into it because it had some points about PMS and its ability to integrate and work well with everything. And Oyo has its own tech stack. It brings everything to the table in one unit. But one point it did make out with this that, of course, when Airbnb goes public, that it's going to be more push to perform kind of thing, and it's going to really exercise this Hotel Tonight relationship. It's direct booking value proposition that it has. It's already using with Oyo's engagement. So I was reading the impact on it. I thought it was kind of an interesting twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the HSMAI Marketing Advisory Board had their monthly call yesterday, and a lot of folks are all like, "Oh yeah, they're all going on Hotel Tonight. They're all doing this. Seems to be, easy to work with, things like that." And they all seem relatively eager to do it because it's a new demand source for them. So that seems to be working out kind of well as predicted. And there was a lot of interesting noise about Airbnb going from the 3% fee to the supply side and charging the customer fee to shifting that, but that was kind of an inevitable change anyway as they normalized across markets, right?
Yeah, they had no choice. They had to do that to compete with OTAs and have rate parity.
Right.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter. All they want is a total rate anyway, right?
Yeah.
Here's how much it is going to cost you. All of these guys, that's the absolute goal,
Right.
which kind of ties into the big one is really continuing with the challenges of Booking.com now charging charging on resort fees.
Well,
like
but here's the thing. Like, you hear everyone screaming about, what's next? They're gonna try to get commission on, ancillary spend on site, and it's like, no, because you can avoid ancillary spend on site. They created a fee that you cannot avoid with them. That's part of the room rate. I'm sorry.
And I bummed out everybody, and I yelled at them on the phone. I've said I will debate anyone, any place, anytime on the merit of resort fees, and they will lose. And nobody could come up with one sort of even plausible. No, there's absolutely nothing supporting it. Even the AHLA website comes out and has complete bullshit. And yes, HNLA, it is bullshit, and I'm being kind to say that the hotel industry, the pillar of it, is transparency. And you're like, well, and customer satisfaction. That's how they start their pitch for resort fees. You're like,
and
this is the antithesis of those.
Yeah,
it is. I think you could debate the
asinine.
merits from the hotel's perspective very well, because it is a way to gain more revenue without impacting conversion rates and things like that, because we've done extensive testing on that. It does not have an impact.
What about cart abandonment?
No, we
zero
started,
cart abandonment.
Well, I mean, there's not zero, but it's compared to a control group. When we have resort fees on and off, there's negligible difference. So I think it's a good way to be able to push up. And we had properties that went within a 5-year period from 0 resort fees to $20, $30 resort fees, and there was no meaningful impact. So I think you could argue from that case.
I will say, if it's about guest satisfaction, then you better damn well sure your resort fee has something valuable as a service in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Because there's nothing more annoying. I've stayed at hotels that are customers of mine that have upwards of $40 a night resort fees, which I think is atrocious. And I told them, I'm like, this is,
Well,
like,
we're all getting on soapboxes with stuff.
shady.
I'd say the pet fees too are another consideration. To say you're a pet friendly hotel but charge $100 per night, for a pet fee is ludicrous in the sense that you're not being pet friendly at all. You're being pet restrictive. You don't want pets, so you would make it simple, like some hotels that do $5 a day or $10 for your stay or something. Where they're actually welcoming that aspect, of course, because you're still liability that if you damage your room, regardless, you still are liable for it, regardless of any additional fee functions to it. There is a positive I can say about Robert, and I agree with you completely. I despise resort fees, but I've used them as a marketing lever. It's a great incentive to waive them in comparison to your comp set, and The other is that when you're offering things with the resort fee, for channel control, that the OTAs have to pay resort fee, or you can book direct and you don't have to. To mitigate value proposition to it. So there is that making something bad. At least put some lipstick on it. But I'm completely adamant with you.
They're going to get legislated away. It probably won't be this administration, but they will. I mean, in late 2015, I was on a call. There were 26 state attorneys general, right? And they stayed for the 90-minute presentation on everything going on with it. They are all over it because this is exactly what happened with the airline industry. Finally, the government stepped in and go, you can't go say that you have fares of whatever and it's not really that because you're excluding taxes and all this other stuff. You got to give them a total. And I was on a call at budget with 49 state attorneys general, doing the same thing with the rental car industry, going, you got to stop this. It's customer hostile, and if you won't do it, we will make you. And the hotel industry is going to be right there. And now Google and the OTAs are basically amplifying the will of the consumers because they come out all the consumer studies.
They're not amplifying the will of the consumers. You know what they're doing?
Oh no, for their own. Oh no, it's completely.
They're giving themselves they're giving themselves some firepower against what Lauren just said, which is book direct and get no resort fees. Well, now that they're marking up resort fees, you can't really do that because it's part of rate parity.
Yeah. Well, and rate parity is getting really complicated now because it's illegal in the UK and many other jurisdictions,
which I think is hilarious.
Right, and it's everybody's hanging on to it here, and then they're like, "Hey, those guys are cheating." It's like, well, you can't enforce it because remember when you were running around?
Hold on. I just want to be clear. There's such thing as merchandising. No, you can't have it in the contract.
Yeah.
But you can just do what you've always done, which is hotels that are violating that, they're not going to get positioned. They're not going to get on that first page of results for a big city and stuff like that. Which at that point, I would even ask then, why are you even on that OTA?
Right. Well, but then it's the other way where the hotels are upset with the OTAs who are undercutting.
I have a hypothetical question.
That's not the taking the package.
No.
Rate
I want to be clear. The OTAs won with rate parity becoming illegal.
Absolutely.
That whole thing played out perfectly to their hand, and the only ones who suffer are the hotels.
Absolutely. And that was always the OTA's intention dating back to 15 years. To 2004. Yeah.
So let me have a hypothetical question with this and Google and the AI and its growth and its travel presence and so forth. It's the things that is coming into market. Our basic premise with OTAs is that they are high in the discovery funnel for our potential guests. They have the funding and the monies. They outstrip us so much money by what they spend and so forth to get in front of the prospective traveler. With product, and we're one of those pieces of product. So it's a blunt instrument, so to speak. It's pushed in front of these people very high up, and it costs a lot of money to do this. Now, Google, with their marketing, is going to get very concise as to timing, opportunity, and product, uniquely known to the individual as best as they can, so that as me as a consumer, rather than the blunt instrument of exposure of I'm thinking about going to the Florida Keys, and now all of a sudden I see all the stuff because I'm looking for it, Google's going to put precise content in front of me. Now, barring the fact that OTAs are going to be using the same platform for payments and so forth to get into space, maybe Google pushes them down and tries to dominate that market.
Not going to push them down. Google will take their money up until the moment they figure out how to make more money without.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If Google gets really good at this, they would be that person. They're basically saying, "Look, we're only going to sell the hotel product direct. We're not going to take third-party intermediary. We don't need to do this. We're going to basically sell and get our commission for selling that hotel." We're not going to give it to somebody else.
They don't care.
They want it both. They want it both ways. They want groups to go advertise and give them money, which is not tied to productivity, right? Just pure speculative ad spend that goes there. That may get triggered.
It has to be productive for people to keep giving them money.
But people click 8 times on stuff and don't book anything. They want part of that, and then when they eventually book, they want that too, right? And I think they're sitting there going, yeah, that both of those work for us, and we don't care which way.
So you don't think there'll be a day, someday, that Google just says we're going to be the pipe and then nobody else is in it except for what we're selling? You don't see that Google will
no,
be
I think not to exclude people.
I think if it got to the point where the math made sense for them, but I agree with Robert. Right now, they're having their cake and eating it.
Oh no, right now, of course not. No, I'm not
And
saying
they-
this.
yeah. I don't
Way
think
down the road.
regulatory. They'll get regulated before they really become the only, the only source, and nobody else can do that, and they wipe out other people's business model.
Yeah, I think that's a big threat.
So if
you
they
know,
come in and say,
that
"Good,
consi-
we're going to go do this. We're going to wipe out," forget the
that's
$10
what they got
billion
in trouble
a
with
year
in
we're
the
getting
UK,
from
in
the
the
OTA.
European Union, right? With the whole vertical versus horizontal search stuff, where they were kind of
Absolutely.
leveraging their position to beat out competition, and I think they've got to be conscious not to do that, and otherwise they're going to get another big $14 billion fine or whatever it was.
No,
Which
no,
is absolutely nothing. It's it's not even a slap on the wrist. It's like a slight caress.
Yeah.
A gentle caress.
Well,
on the wrist.
that was bringing one of the other articles you put out there, Robert, about the frustration of online travelers using more sites now than they did before. Because to my mind, you're creating a complexity of everybody being in that space of blend instrument exposure that it says analysis paralysis. I mean, there's so many variations, according to the article that you put up there for Focusrite, that people are going to more sites and trying to figure out between all of those sites even more decisions, and they're getting.
Yeah, but you know what's the most interesting?
Book
You know
direct,
what's
make
most
that happen.
interesting about that? According to this amazing study that I have in front of me, 87% of people, regardless of how they book, 87% of people, whether they're booking on OTAs or Airbnb or direct with a hotel, 87% of all people will visit the hotel website before booking.
Absolutely.
So the hotel is missing their shot at the guest.
When in the process do you think that happens? Is it early or later?
You know, I think it depends. I think it's a variety.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we asked, let me see if I can find it, was where do you begin and then what's most influential? And the where do you begin was all over the place.
Inspiration. Lauren, you were saying Google was up kind of at the top of the funnel. They are when you start getting into the research phase and the planning phase, but that inspiration phase is still all over the place. People aren't going to Google to get inspired of where should we travel, right? That's not, nobody's really cracked the code on that quite yet. And the OTAs haven't either, really. And TripAdvisor hasn't either. Nobody's really nailed inspiration.
So 43% start on a search engine. The next highest was OTAs, and then it kind of, you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's where do they start, and then what's most influential was the question.
So Stuart, for those who may not have joined us earlier, what is it that we're looking at, sir?
Oh, so this is a fantastic little study called the 2019 Leisure Travel Study from Fuel that is going to be exclusively available in hardcover at High-Tech. And if you don't want to carry one around, if you let us scan your badge, we'll email you a copy as well. It will be available for download later on, but not until later in the month. So,
but if you want your copy autographed by Stuart, it has to be a hard copy, which is why they've produced hard copies. So,
and
are you bringing enough Sharpies? That's the question. Do you have enough Sharpies?
It's a limited time window. Certain days, certain times, will Stuart be there behind the table signing his?
That is our biggest concern about the High-Tech logistics is will we run out of ink? That really is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, which booth? What's your booth number?
2920.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I would love to see these
appointments.
I would love to see these. I would love to see these numbers, but the copy that I have has such a large copyright 2019 Fuel Travel across it. I can't actually read any of the copy under it.
It's a very light watermark, just so that I know if one of you you decide to send it out into the world, and I see where it is.
That's actually the only reason Robert didn't send it out into the world.
That's what I figured too.
No, I wouldn't have done that. So.
I should have put big confidential on the front, right?
Right. Yeah, because he was the first one to say, "Hey, we should share this. Let's put it on the show."
Exactly.
Any other, not to take your thunder away? Any surprise revelations? Anything?
I think that 87% was the biggest single stat that really stood out. But one of the other things I really felt was compelling was the difference. We looked at a lot of the data and broke it down between under 35s and over 35s just to see the difference. And there's a big difference in a lot of categories. Some is really based on where they are in their life. They're traveling with friends and not kids and things like that. Although I think it was close to 50% of the 25 to 35-year-olds are traveling with kids. So the fact that millennials are parents now, people need to pay attention to. But from a technology standpoint, the under 35 group are way more mobile, way more willing to try things like mobile app for check-in and check-out, voice search, things like that. There was a distinct difference between those two groups. Mobile apps seem to be very much in demand. People said overwhelmingly that they would use a mobile app for check-in, opening their doors, buying additional services, ordering late checkout, things like that. So I think mobile apps people need to jump on. And then the other one was, which is no surprise probably to Ed, was people aren't quite ready for voice, I don't think, across the board. It was 2/3 of people said they do not want a voice-activated device, a smart speaker in their hotel room. Now, as you went younger, people were more likely to have it, but it was still about 50-60% of people that would want it or would not want it, even in that younger demographic. So,
which means the answer to hotels thinking should they have voice control in their hotel rooms, the answer is no.
No,
Because if it's 50 to 60% actively have a decision that they don't want it, that means that's just really, really bad. Like, you're burning. That's a negative KPI.
And you're creating
not measuring
animosity in a lot of people.
Right.
You brought out a good point too, Stuart, with the aging. That we had a conversation, you and I, yesterday, just briefly on some stuff, and there was a newscast down here that had an interesting insight that we classify millennials by age categorization, and we really should classify them by their income classification, what their financial capabilities are, not so much their age classification. Because the point being made that this newscaster was saying is that, and they did it up to 33 years old, is that millennials have less money than the people at that same age, us at that same age. They have less money, they have more credit, they have more debt, and they have, even though they're wanting to do experiences, they don't really have the finances to do them. So it's not about an age classification for marketing. It's actually about stratifying their income and their means. To identify, because you can have a very rich 23-year-old or you can have a very poor 23-year-old, and they're not going to be looking at your same product the same way.
Well, and it's the persona of why they're taking that trip too. Are they getting together with friends? Are they traveling because they have a young family? Things, really different. Is it an anniversary or something like that, or a getaway because
you mean to say that based on what the person's doing on a specific trip, they may present as a completely different set of wants and needs?
This blew my mind. I thought everyone was one-dimensional.
Mind blown.
Based solely on one demographic information and their age, I thought everyone was exactly the same. That's brand new information to me, gents.
And you got to also consider too that the new business models of what's going on out there is that even these younger people working for smaller companies, they don't send them to high-end hotels. A lot of times, most of the labor changes that are going on is they can, like Google, you can build up credits. You're given an allowance, but what you don't spend can build up into a kitty of sorts that you can flirt with going to a nice place on a definite destination if you're traveling for business, or you stay economically and save that money towards being able to do things like that. And also too, when companies are sending the salespeople out, there's a lot of preemptive sales dialogue before there's the face-to-face proposal going to it. And usually it's an economy trip that they're sending them out. They're not sending them to the Waldorf Astoria to stay to meet somebody to do a sales pitch. They're sending them to an affordable tiered hotel and meeting them in a different location. The WeWorks and so forth have influenced that now, where you have a commonality. You don't have to show up in a beautiful lobby to impress that you're talking to a potential client. You can show up and have them come to a common space and meet them there for a business discussion. So there's economies to scale on that now. So even that these young people traveling for business and their companies paying for it, which usually was the modicum of per diems and spend the limit and enjoy a better travel experience, are being pulled back. They're reined back. It's a controllable function now.
Right. Well, and not, for an event like a high tech where still, I mean, when you look through the attendee list, there's some larger companies that are sending a lot of people to high. I mean, just massive numbers, which is not the case generally. I think a lot of them have either cut out a lot of trade shows they go to, which is, not necessarily the top tier ones where they get the biggest ROI. The questionable ones have been pushed aside, and they're sending people for fewer days, so they aren't staying the last night for the final cocktail reception. They're getting the heck out of there on day 3 midday.
There was a final
I mean,
cocktail reception on the last night of High Tech.
Well, not for high tech, but whatever. For
I was going to say, like,
closing.
I don't think I've ever been to that.
Yeah.
Well, they're exclusive.
No, and there's
party.
not because everybody, everybody leaves, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
Thursday, I don't know, Stuart. What's the booth traffic like? What's the flow?
It's all
at
vendors.
High Tech? I mean,
Thursday is vendor
Yeah.
trading stories day.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
right.
partnership.
Yeah.
It's all
Okay.
vendors looking at other vendors. It's in the time cycle. It's when the booth runners let their booth people run around to see the other booths. Is the last
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
honestly, that's when we make a lot of our good connections. I
Yeah.
believe we met
Yeah.
Flip2 on the last day. I think it was the last day of the show. May have been Wednesday, but
I remember a really
when I was
crazy
doing my
party.
running around looking at the booths is when I bumped into these crazy cats at Flip2.
Yeah.
Oh, slight segue. So we had someone write into the podcast and said that we really like the show, and you keep talking about this product or company, and I'm not sure what it is. It's like Frito or something. So
It's a little
Fredo?
company out of Tonga.
Frito.
Yeah, they're out of Tonga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
think they make
anytime we're
trampolines.
referring to Flip2 in our office, everyone calls it Frito now.
Nice.
That could be your new name, Ed. Frito. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, now I got to say that I remember a certain really cool party in New Orleans, High Tech one year, and that Fritos was running that one.
Ah. I
That's
remember a
when
party in
Like Ricky got stolen.
I remember a wild party in Toronto where Stuart wound up with a broken foot
Broken
because
foot.
it was out of control. I mean,
True story.
I told him,
Yep.
do not climb up that high and do that jump. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I'd only had
I
two
am a
drinks,
golden-
and the
his
step
last
was about
word.
this big. But there's
I am
there's
a
story
golden
there.
god. And he tried to crowd surf.
Yeah.
It was ugly.
It was one of those looking at your phone when you're walking downstairs, and it was an older building, and the stairs weren't quite flat, and I just missed the bottom step and rolled my foot and broke my metatarsal. It was not fun.
And I want
It just
you
hurts
to
sounding.
know that 3 of us crowdsourced that explanation, and Stuart rehearsed that for about an hour and a half until he got it to be kind of compelling and sound reasonable. So
I still think Robert who was right behind me, pushed me. I'm pretty sure that.
You know it was.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
funny is actually we found out afterwards because I was telling a story about a partner or an ex-partner. I don't know if they're still a partner of Fuel, but a story from my Easy Yield days and a party we had, and it turned out Stuart was at that party. So
Yeah. We crossed paths.
Yeah.
They're still a partner. We're friends with all the PMSs.
okay.
With Switzerland.
No,
Yeah.
I grew up,
It was a $500 bet. I told you the backstory about it, didn't
Yep.
I? About how it happened.
Yep.
So there was a sales guy for one of the major PMS companies.
Major.
And, one of the
Big.
PMS companies, and the owner of the company told his sales guys, "I'll give $500 to anyone that jumps in the pool." And so
yeah,
one
because this
guy
party
like,
was on an outdoor area of a Red Lion, and it was a
Yep.
very elegant affair. And
very
it was
high end, and they
Yeah,
wanted to
very
bring it
high
down
end.
a little bit.
And so the owner of this PMS company paid one of his guys to jump in the pool.
Yeah. Which he did, and then they marched straight to an ATM, and he got out $500 and handed it over to him.
Didn't the guy have his cell phone still in his pocket?
No, I don't think he did. I think
I
he
thought
he
I
took
had heard
out.
that part.
Maybe I don't
Sorry.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Class, man. It's class.
So I'm surprised in all of the topics, Robert. We did not see a topic that I thought you would enjoy talking about with me, which is Facebook's upcoming launch of its own cryptocurrency.
Oh, well, I know you don't like speaking of that. And
Actually,
my
think for
plan
them,
was
It's
It
the
makes
smartest
perfect sense.
thing they
That's
could
very
possibly
smart.
do, and it's probably going to be the best example of what a cryptocurrency should be.
Right.
And it will be probably the first example of a mainstream cryptocurrency that consumer level users will take part in.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they
I
have
mean,
the
they got
ecosystem.
1.8 billion people to do
Yeah.
it.
Yes, Facebook. I'm calling it now.
Mhm.
Facebook is becoming a nation.
They're going to have their own sovereignty before long, for sure. All hail Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overlord.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with regulation or not. If they, I don't know what's going to happen if they start giving them fits about having to get rid of WhatsApp or some of their other.
I got to
their
tell you, if
holdings,
that
Instagram
happens,
and things
it's
like that.
because Google and Facebook didn't give enough money to the politicians. Because if it happens to Facebook, you can't do it to Facebook and not argue that Google needs to be broken up.
For sure. Yeah.
And you start getting then the Amazon with the AWS versus the shop. All that.
Yeah.
Yep. The dominoes start to fall, but Facebook's got to get their act together on the privacy thing because they just kind of and it's not that they have an easy job.
People don't care about the privacy. It hasn't affected their active users. You other than a few high-profile people saying, "Oh, I'm abandoning #leave Facebook."
Let me tell you, at least for my daughters, they're on Instagram. Facebook is almost irrelevant to them.
But it is Facebook.
I mean,
Instagram is Facebook. It's
Oh,
the
no, I
same
know.
company. The money's going to the same pockets.
Yeah.
And WhatsApp's going to have
And
ads
that actually
and
means
videos and everything
the
like
purchase
that.
of Instagram did exactly what Facebook hoped it would.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Have you
That's
guys
right.
seen the new season of Black Mirror yet?
No.
The second episode
No,
in
no, I haven't seen
that.
it.
Second episode is called Smithereens, and it's I won't spoil it, but it's Smithereens in the Black Mirror world is essentially Facebook. So it's about some of the consequences of having a social media channel that's so powerful in society. It's a good episode.
There's something that came up in the
It's
news.
just so hard.
We're talking about this in that context. We applaud the convenience of technology. We applaud the usabilities and so forth and what have you. But I thought it very interesting that in the news in Hong Kong, which doesn't get covered in the U.S. news near as much as it should, they're really fighting for privacy. They're really fighting to maintain democracy because Hong Kong, in its transition to being mainland China now, had kept a certain bubble of democratic rules and things that it had in comparison to China, the mainland. And one of the things that they're fighting is the fact that you can be taken out of Hong Kong and brought to the mainland for court. You can be extradited over to mainland, and they're fighting this. And the thing that was newsworthy was normally in Hong Kong, they use their Metro cards. Just that's what you get on the train. And they were showing in the news the lines of people paying cash to get tickets. Because when they did the umbrella, not revolt, but protests, they found out that the government, which knows all of the data because that's a mandate, they're connected to everything, who used their ticket cards to get the trains to go to protests, and they isolated them and tracked them down. And they've known that. So the way to get around it was, the only way to get around it is to buy a cash ticket to use it so that they can't track your ticket.
Yeah, except the facial recognition technology logged
again
in the
this
terminal.
is just
I mean,
I'm not saying that they've solved the problem.
Yeah,
but I'm saying that you got to remember this stuff is all there.
I'll
it's
give
only
you the
getting more
laughable.
prominent.
I had read somewhere. I'm going to pull a Tim Peter here, and I'm going to quote a quote of a quote of a quote of something, and I'm probably going to get most of the details wrong.
That Tim Peter wrote, though, it was sourced originally by Tim Peter.
Someone from Google came out and spoke about Apple's big move for the unified sign-in new feature that they're pushing, except theirs is going to be really based on privacy. And someone at Google had the audacity to say that their sign-in technology is really private. And I say the audacity because Google's beta testing right now in GA cross-device tracking using all these sign-ins that you have across your devices. You're going to be logged into YouTube on some devices, logged into Gmail on some devices, logged into Chrome on some devices, and they're actually exposing that to marketers. And yet they're saying that
without the personally identifiable information.
But
that's completely private.
It depends on what your definition of privacy is.
Right.
If your
depends on your definition of is.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, I'm keep referring to China on this. They're expanding their social scoring matrix outside of Shanghai and Beijing now to being countrywide.
Which
They're going from that. They're taking
how
it from
you
just those cities
stay
to now countrywide.
there, it blows my mind, because that's just not going to end well for the people.
No,
And now that being
No.
said, our government does all that crap too. They
Exactly.
they're just a little, they at least do us the favor of lying to us generally about it. But come on,
That's so nice.
come on.
I saw
Oh,
that
wait.
there's
There's
stuff
we're
now
gonna
that you can buy in
continue.
China that you can that's the kind of a hood mask that people carry that helps that actually has padding in it, so that when they do the facial recognition, it tries to distort the patterning of your facial dimensions so that they can't get a clean lock on who you are.
That's not going to work though, because I think it was an MIT study. They figured what was even better than facial recognition was the way people walked. If you could take video, that was actually much better. I'm not sure if it was easier than the facial. It may have been easier than the facial recognition, because for facial you need a pretty clear shot and that sort of thing. This one you could just kind of see somebody kind of blurrily walking, and go, oh, that looks like Ed sauntering along the sidewalk there. So,
Does Ed saunter? Does he really saunter? Or does he
I think he does. Yeah.
I meander.
meander?
So,
Well,
All right,
drank beer, not a
so
wit's shuffle.
I had noticed that this company had been quiet lately, but Robert actually had a Triptease article.
oh yeah.
So knowing Triptease, I'm going to call it now, they're getting into payment card. Because there's no way they would write something about this unless they were trying to set up a market for some thin app that they've created around something. So
What was the article? I didn't read it. What was
it was about the authentication on payment card requirements changing in Europe.
okay,
yeah.
yep.
So it's
they'll
the
probably
is the
create some
hotel
payment.
industry sleepwalking into a regulatory crisis?
crisis. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting into a
And
lot of
it's
different
the,
things. I think they've plateaued on their rate parity product and some other things, because I know they've started selling meta search now. They're selling that, which is
well, because
that's
they
a
don't
big-
go deep
good
into
for them.
anything they do. Everything
Right.
they do kind of just the basic thin version of it that doesn't require integrations and stuff like that. And that may be their
So all you
big
need to do
picture.
when you take credit for every piece of traffic that you send to the website.
Yes, attribution theft does make it to where you don't have to develop really well.
I think you know what, that's a neat statement. Has it been called that? Because that's a perfect statement. Attribution theft.
I think Ed
I
called
think
it that
I-
on the show a couple of
Yeah,
weeks ago.
I've
I
coined
think he
it.
coined that
You
term.
coined it. I think it's a great statement because it's absolutely dead accurate. It's
Yeah.
attribution theft. They hijack it. They rechanged the sessions to make it accountable
And
to
they're
them.
not the only ones. There's actually
gosh,
a
no.
lot.
No.
There's a lot of vendors.
Almost
in the
any display
marketing.
network does it.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of email marketers, really are
Oh, what
attribution.
Yeah,
thieves.
one of the big email marketers will claim credit. They'll look at your guest history, and if an email address matches something on your database and someone that booked, regardless of whether they clicked on the email or whatever, 30 days is a
Attribution
30-day
theft.
window, and they'll give 100% attribution to
Yep.
the
Yeah.
email. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
The,
So by
the scariest thing is that hotel marketers, I just don't think there's enough education in the market, especially like low-level marketers. They're not getting the education on how to come up with complex attribution models that are actually fair to all your marketing mix.
Right.
So you're over-attributing all of them. So if you add up all your attribution and then you start doing the math, it's like, well, we made 4 times the revenue we actually show on the books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them come up to about 180% attribution or something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty common, I think.
But I
threw up
call
a-
all
Yeah.
of those things attribution thieves.
Yeah.
And listen, I mean, we've felt the pain from time to time of being, high and mighty about that, not wanting to steal attribution for things that if we were holding ourselves to the same standard of other
Yeah,
products.
Flip2 actually under attributes, in my opinion. I don't think
We
you
do.
get enough credit for everything you produce.
And
but
part
it's
of it's
tough.
just
You
because-
take the high road, like you said,
Right.
and say, we can guarantee this was 100% us. This could have been us, but we're not sure and we
Right.
can't measure it, so we're going to not count it.
Yep.
Come on, Ed.
Yeah,
you can
the
get
stuff you
so
can
much
track
more
is-
money.
Great.
Yeah.
But that's the
I thought
thing.
the LinkedIn article-
I don't ever want to be in a conversation with someone where they don't trust me because of a
Right.
report. Right.
Mhm.
You know, because
Yeah.
you can't come back from that. That's it.
I threw up the LinkedIn article, a bit of a more of a protest thing. I'm a little frustrated with LinkedIn right now. I applaud their marketing capabilities. I really have used and leveraged that very well for different things. But I've been trying to get into their live stream. It's been out since February, and it was limited release, and then it was supposed to be rolling out more and more and more. And I actually had to reach out to LinkedIn. It's like, hey guys, can I even just? I've been applying to get this. Can I get it? And they're still not talking about it. They've really kind of squashed the conversation. Although in articles like this, they point out, "Oh, look at the stuff that they're throwing out there. It's still not available."
Yeah.
You know,
Just tell
And now
Robert
they're kind of
Cole, and he'll
tagging
let
the
everyone
video.
know and create such a stink that it'll happen. So just
Well,
I
it's
think Ed,
Exactly.
I
You know
think
what
Ed
you're
called them
feeling?
and said, "Listen, Lauren's already on enough freaking channels. Don't
you
give him."
probably got blacklisted.
Exactly.
yeah. I had called ahead and was like, hey, if this guy calls you, just tell him
Exactly.
Put him
tell him it's in alpha, and right now everyone who's been on it has had major negative financial impact.
Yeah.
Because telling him it's in alpha may not be enough to make him not.
That's not-
May motivate him to want
And,
to.
and even the negative financial impact won't do it either. I think
Right.
you need
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Well, you know what you should do, Lauren? You should tell them that you're the 16-year-old female Lauren Gray. And they'll let you straight on.
Some stuff
Yeah.
from
There you
Lauren.
go.
that-
I
yeah,
still
the-
think
the-
he is.
Yeah.
I think so. Have you ever seen the two of them in a room together?
Never
I
together.
rest my
Yeah.
case.
I think the restraining order prevents it.
That's my alter ego for sure. But yeah, it just because I would love it, in the sense that I love the video thing. I think that's a real usable product. The tagging, I think it's too Facebook-esque in my mind. I think it's getting too LinkedIn. I've already seen it creep in every once in a while. People start doing pitches in LinkedIn. In their posts.
Crept in, man.
Oh,
That's like
crept in?
front and center. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah.
I try to keep what I keep
they
following
burst through
and
the
what I keep
doors and
engaged
slapped
with,
us all in the face.
it is there
I will
more
say
than
for
I like.
advocacy, it's the highest converting channel. If you can get
Oh,
a
yeah.
guest to share on LinkedIn,
Right.
it like the trust factor in that's crazy.
The whole B2B group meetings, group sales meetings they should be all over that. I
Yep.
mean, just
Oh yeah, and the ability to filter and put a fine point to whom you're targeting by
Yeah.
industry, by company, by title, by income, by
Yep.
education. Really crazy, great ways of targeting down.
Well, and
Corporate-
gosh,
corporate
you
travel
have-
management, all of that.
if you have
yeah.
Sales Navigator, my gosh, LinkedIn is amazing
Yeah.
for finding
Yes.
people. And
Oh yeah, there was a little LinkedIn discussion on that yesterday, and I've used Sales Navigator, but a lot of people use it improperly, and you can spam a bunch of people with
Yes.
it, which is just horrible, right?
yeah.
And it doesn't work.
But
I mean, all that
There are a
InMail
couple of
stuff.
things I
is-
like about it. Yeah, I hate InMail. I think
I don't use
InMail
email.
I've sent a total of 3 InMails ever.
Right.
Yeah,
but
but sales
being
people
able to
use it all the
subscribe
time.
to someone that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
prospecting is
It's so good.
amazing.
The only
Especially
problem
if you know
is-
how to work it into a conversation without telling them that that's what you did.
Yeah. But still,
I'm
their
a big
integration.
fan. I admire you.
But their integrations, though, now you need, I think it's Team or Enterprise, which is, I think it's $99 a month.
Yeah, I'm
To go-
grandfathered in. I was an early user of Navigator, so I have.
Yeah, I'm a little bit less than that, but still to do integrations into like a HubSpot or anything like that, you've got to be on a couple advanced levels, and just
Yeah.
if you aren't using it, it's going to get pretty pricey.
But using it correctly is more of you realize something you have in common with the person. So
Yeah.
you don't just tell them you know that about them. You bring it up about yourself.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Right, and then they
And
make
then
the connection.
You let them make the connection. And this is the
Yeah.
problem with a lot of stuff is people don't think through how should you use the information you have
Yeah.
to not be creepy.
Yeah.
It's actually-
You're
it's actually
being
funny.
creepy, but yeah, you just don't
I'm-
let them know you're being
I'm
creepy.
developing. I have 3 presentations at the end of the month for a hotel group that I work with for their Directors of Sales and Marketing conference, and 2 of them were really easy because I didn't actually have to contribute anything. I just have to show up, and I'm talking about. It's going to basically be this show to them. 2 different hour blocks. But then my third
Feel
one.
sorry for the audience.
My third one is really tough because I kind of went to one of my go-tos of like, yeah, I'll just build a new presentation around conversational marketing techniques and how to use content to have a pseudo conversation with your web visitors. And then I realized as I like committed myself to that this group is probably one of the best content marketing groups in the industry as far as like really high quality content, really authentic content, answering like the questions that people have with content.
That's great.
And then I was like, shit.
They might know how to do this already.
I can't be so preachy. They actually have a couple of hotels that their web conversion is at 12%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Pretty stupid. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Eric's watching us on Facebook. He says he'll see us up in Minneapolis. He's bringing some fat scooters up there and stuff, which are pretty cool. I saw one.
I
was
want
on
to
there.
see Stuart on a fat scooter. I'm saying it now.
I don't know what a fat scooter is, but I'll give it a whirl.
It's a big balloon tire scooter that anyway you'll see him
instead of golf carts and stuff. They're pretty slick.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're really cool. But yeah, when I was presenting out to the Arizona HSMAI chapter, we actually had the event at the Fat Scooters factory. They had a big open area, so we had the meeting there and got to see all the variations to it. They're pretty neat. I mean, honestly, I could see us having some fun driving around on those things.
Not
Coming
without
to you
full
live.
protective
I'll try it,
headgear.
Are we allowed to ride them through the exhibits?
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm telling
beg
you,
for
if
forgiveness.
anyone says anything to you, just say Ed said it was okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got told it was fine. It was fine. Hey, so I thought a couple of articles too. What anything caught your eye that Robert threw up that up on the list?
That's a good way to put it. Robert threw up.
He did
So
throw
I
up.
generally throw these up every week.
I was hoping you would
I
skip by
throw
that.
up a bunch of articles.
I like that one of the articles was in the main list and in the rut row as well.
Was
Did
it?
you notice that? I'm pretty sure.
Travel
Yeah.
like an Avenger.
Yeah, Tony Stark's
was-
cabin.
Yeah. The Tony Stark one was.
Oh,
was
I made a mistake. Oh well.
What was the
That's
rut
okay.
row supposed to be?
The rut row was supposed to be the there's a hotel in London that's being designed with this large swimming pool on the roof, which is like an end-to-end.
Oh, I've seen
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and people
Yeah.
don't know how to get in it.
Well, they say they have something that kind of comes
Yeah,
up.
it
through the
rises
pool.
up. It creates
Yeah.
a tunnel that you walk down.
Yeah, and so yeah,
What's
and
wrong with it? What's the rut row?
well, I think if that breaks, you're in trouble. So it's,
mean like
it's that
the,
single
last
point,
future
single
rut row.
point of failure.
So
Yeah,
that's
not
now the reason. So that's now the reason to not build something is if
exactly
it breaks, you're in
life
trouble. So
safety.
if an-
Yeah,
well, that's not a life safety issue. If it breaks, they're going to have to airlift you out of the pool. Just like if you're in a 80-story building and the elevator breaks, you're stuck until they can fix it.
See, I thought the rut row would be the
Well-
glass floor at the old Sears building cracking again.
Yeah, well,
Oh, that's just
but
the,
it was
the
doing what
whatever,
it was
something
supposed to
layer.
do. If
Yeah.
you read it, the layer was doing what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
Break.
Yeah.
The break.
That's a
would
design.
freak the
It's a
heck out of me.
design feature. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
That's what we call bugs in our software.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly what
exactly.
it's supposed to do.
It's design feature.
No, I think
Fail-safe.
I think not having a building, and I can't remember how many stories it is. It's a fairly tall, I don't know if it's a 50, 70 story or something like that. But yeah, with no direct fire stir access. So
You're in water.
I don't know
What do you
if that-
need it for?
I never thought of that. That's right. You just stay in the pool, and if the building's on fire, you're fine. You're wet.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, imagine the comfortable
Until
feeling
you
you have
stop
when
boiling.
you're swimming up there and one of the glass walls cracks and starts leaking.
It's not your problem. It's the people down below that will have a much worse day.
There's a bar below it too, or something. I don't know if there's an atrium or something where you can see people
Yeah.
swimming around.
I came from
Yeah,
the age in history where we lived on movies like that. The Towering Inferno. That's just it
Yeah,
just seems
think,
like
think of how lame that movie would have been if everyone was just like, oh, well, let's just, we're stuck. We can't get down on the lower floors, so let's go in the pool
Yeah.
so we don't burn. We made
Yeah.
boil.
or let's poke a hole in the roof and put the fire out.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
a safety
well,
feature.
which is actually also interesting because for like roof evacuations, that's not going to work so well in a
What are you
fire.
talking about? It's going to be fantastic. You'll be leisurely, stop at the bar on the floor below before you go up to the pool.
I don't know though, but when they shut off the elevators and things like that, does that also shut off the little whatever corkscrews,
It may.
rising into the pool. Yeah, I don't know. So,
But again, you're in a pool.
With heat underneath.
that's right.
Eventually, that gets very hot. You become soup.
Yeah, but that takes a long time. There's a lot of water in that pool.
That's the whole frog boiling thing. You won't even realize you're being cooked alive.
Yeah,
so
1
it's
degree at
fine.
a time. You don't feel it.
Yeah, you don't.
Hey,
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
one of
And
the
by the
articles-
way, did you say this hotel's in London?
Yes,
It would finally make that pool comfortable then.
that's right. Yeah, the outdoor pool.
Okay,
So,
one of the articles
But
Mr. Roper-
actually, did you? Are you guys going to go stay in Tony Stark's cabin? That's why I threw that in there for you guys. That would be a. Seems like Airbnb. They seem to be getting a higher ADR now that they've been in the movie. Actually, they were in a second movie also, I believe. So
Yeah, the problem is the second movie was a story about someone killing people staying in that cabin. So the two cancel,
that one.
the two cancel
Yeah.
each other out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The one I would
So-
talk about, the other I wouldn't.
Yeah, I was going to say the tech exec one about everyone's fighting for guest connection. It seemed really odd that these people that they had in the article, the Expedia people and the guy from Thayer and stuff, are talking about guest connection and how technology is going to save the day when they're literally the ones that create issues about it.
Ah.
Which one is this?
This is the tech execs. Everyone's fighting for guest connection. Here, I'll give it a link.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Cyril
everyone
Rank, who's
says
the head of
they're
all
fighting
supply for
guest
Expedia.
connection, but not a lot are actually fighting. Like I would agree that Expedia is fighting for it, because that's kind of their shtick. I would not agree that the big hotel brands have been doing anything you could call fighting to have the connection with the guest.
Right.
It should be, but they're not.
I don't even think that it's they don't want to or they don't know how to. I think they are so crippled by their infrastructure and their scale that they can't figure out how to.
Mhm.
Well, and the problem is now they're all getting into it. Started with Amadeus redoing IHG system, and now Marriott's focused on it too. Is the whole attribute, selling thing, right? Which I think is going to be fraught with issues for these.
Well, it's going to be
these
fraught
hotel
with
companies.
issues because, again, like we had the aha at the beginning of this show, your attributes change based on why, when, with who you're traveling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
as
and-
you age and as you're, there's so many things that change the attributes of how you make decisions. And I just don't see a Marriott. I see them building a first version and sticking with it.
Well, and they actually already do. They're called room categories and room types because they're saying, oh, the first one is going to be the numbers and types of beds in the room. It's like, yeah, all these room categories and room types all have that. You'll see the deluxe partial ocean view corner king
Yeah.
or double or queen or whatever.
And by the way,
whatever it is.
That stuff creates
is-
so much confusion when someone's
Oh, yeah.
booking.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying-
and these overly complex and high numbered of rate plans. Like the whole point of like really specific rate plans is to be able to identify which one's right for the person, not feed them a list. There's a version, and I don't know if Synixis supports it anymore, but there are still hotels that use it where they actually make you pick a rate plan before a room type.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
That
you
is
go
the-
and you check AAA or something like that.
No, but it's
and you
never
only see the
AAA. It's never that straightforward. Like when you
Yeah.
go to these hotels that have the rate plan first, you cannot at all figure out, no, by the way, certain rate plans are only available on certain unit types or room types.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like when you know what room you want or what what your occupancy is, you don't know what rate plan is appropriate for what you're
Right.
looking to do. You need time to look through it. This is those types of examples are examples of the industry forgetting about their customer and just thinking about what they would want. You're a prosumer. If you're in this industry, you do not travel the same way other people travel. Stop marketing to yourself unless you are literally a hotel that only houses the travel industry.
Yeah. Well, and all the accessible rooms and every. I mean, typically, I haven't really looked to see how it's changed with Marriott now on being on Marcia instead of the old Starwood system. But Starwood would always have at least 30 room types that had come back, and it was just awful, right? It
Yep.
was just every permutation and combination of everything, and
Yep.
you're like, sometimes the rates are all the same, sometimes they're different, and you're just like. All people want to know is what is the lowest rate I am eligible for, please.
That I can
And-
comfortably fit in that meets
Yeah,
my
and
requirement.
and if I put in 2 adults and 2 children, maybe don't show
Only
me the
show me
thing.
rooms. Yeah,
Yeah,
only
but
show
maybe
me
for those
rooms.
people, the single twin bed doesn't work for me.
Right. Yeah.
I know it's the lowest price, but it's not.
I tell you that we've actually, and it's been an arduous process because Sabre is such a pain to work with. But we have isolated. In the new G version of their booking engine, we have isolated out room category types based on where we're pushing for categorization of travel. That only those room types show in the booking link on that page associated with it. It's as kind of a stopgap. It's not a pure happy point because it still has problems where promotions will still get put into the choice selections that we don't want in there. It's still a pain to keep it separate, but we
That's
actually
not has no one just tested like asking a couple of questions rather than like, hey, give us your specific things that a lot of the people putting them in
Absolutely.
are not quite sold on it. Like, have we ever thought of like maybe it's why are you traveling?
Conversation. Yeah.
When you call a hotel, what's the first thing usually a good call center rep is going to ask you? They're going to ask you how to contact you back just in case you get disconnected.
Mhm.
Right.
Why aren't we like taking that same type of approach, that same idea of tell us who you are and what you're looking for, and we'll help you discover
Or
best
if you have a
version of
profile,
what we have to offer.
if you've got a guest profile, and now all the major brands are like, we've got X millions of profile because everybody's maybe you have one for leisure. Say, hey, here are the kind of things for different kinds of trips. Let them save it in their profile and go, oh, which one are you going to do? Here's a drop down. Here's the weekend getaway with my wife. Yeah, romantic getaway, and let them name them whatever they are. It doesn't matter.
Can you
Let
imagine?
them go build their own thing, and then go, yeah, trip with the kids. Boom. Just show me the stuff that's there, and then you can come out and go, hey, and kids eat free, as opposed to the, hey, romantic weekend away with the kids. Oh, kids eat free. Oh, well, which we knew it's not the right thing, and now we're just kind of like.
But that's
crap.
the thing, we take them through this like checklist of, first of all, exact dates, which I get that when you're at the very end of your booking process, exact dates, you know what they are. But when you look at like Stuart's travel report, this is planning over 26 days. So that has to mean the amount of sessions that they come to where they don't necessarily know the exact dates unless it's literally for a special event, like a wedding or something like that.
Would you say that the better way, one of the ways of possibly doing this is using a bot? Is that an option that you can?
No.
I don't think you need to
You
go
don't
to
have
that.
You don't have enough information to make it accurate enough.
Some of the stuff we're looking at testing is actually getting. First of all, I'm very pleased to say that hotels seem to be pretty open to the idea. But one of the things we want to start testing is putting questions in the path.
Absolutely.
And
really simple,
visually
simple
answering some of the basic answers. So like one of the things I paid attention to, Stuart, in your report, which by the way, you can tell I read the report, unlike most of the news things. The 9.8% of people care about weather as like one of their deciding factors. And it's actually funny that that's in there because it's actually something we wanted to infuse in the journey of deciding your trip, is actually just making it easy to understand general weather in the process. Same idea is also just asking like, what's your budget? What do you want to spend?
Right.
And using that to drive.
I think you're going to get some stumbling blocks with that because people think that revealing that means that they're going to get tailored prices that fill that in. They're not going to trust you.
You'll only hit stumbling blocks if you only build it. That's the only way to move forward. If you design it correctly, someone can say, I don't know. and
Right.
continue moving forward. But for someone
And
that
I think that's
matters
what
to,
because that's what I would do. And if I walk up to buy a refrigerator, and the first one of the questions, maybe not the first one of the questions is, well, how much are you willing to spend? I'm like, I don't know. I want features, I'm not thinking about price right now. I want to know what it is I have as choices before I decide what money I want to spend. And I'm hell not going to tell you if I'm buying a car, what am I planning to spend? Oh, I thought about spending $25,000.
For every Lauren, there's an Ed that has a specific budget in mind, right? So
Right.
I think what Flip2's doing and disclosure, we're partnering with them to do some of this testing on some of our clients with these questions. We want to do it in a way and test it against a control group so we understand what impact this has. And
yeah, we don't want to assume anything is right.
Don't get me wrong.
We want to figure out, like, have we been
Right.
wrong? Like, are we
Right.
going about
Right.
this the wrong way? Because no one seems to be changing the path in.
right,
Like,
it's been the same for years and years and years. And
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And,
why is it the same it was in 1990? It shouldn't be.
Right.
You know?
right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
I
it's
would,
something we're
say that a
playing with.
bot. I would say that a helpful bot, okay,
It
it doesn't need to be a
helpful
bot. You don't need AI in this. It's
You
just
don't.
filter it.
It's just a
Chat
form.
It's, it's,
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I wouldn't
a
call it
tree structure
AI.
on a form.
it's
Yeah,
preference.
actually,
Machine learning
I'll
is
give
logical.
you I'll give you a perfect example, Lauren, because as part of what I've been working on for this presentation that I'm doing is just some good insights on how to think about content as a conversation. And I found this great article on UX Magazine. I'm posting it now. And they actually give examples of Amazon's UI and what questions it's answering in that UI. So if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll actually see a section that is it's called satisfying the conversation. So, the customer's question at this phase is, should I buy this? Amazon gives you the star rating of what, is best. What do other people think of it? Here's customer reviews. They're right there. Am I getting a good deal? You're saving 3%. How quickly can I get it? Should I just go to a store? It's in stock.
This is
Go to the
awesome,
store.
dude.
What
I'm
are
totally gonna
comparable
rip this
products?
off.
All that stuff.
I mean,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
this great
is
though?
great.
Like
Dude,
this,
this is such a good way to lay it out. We've been saying for years, part of our presentations on the show, on the podcast, about how you should anticipate and answer every question the guest's going to have,
and this is
and
such a
eliminate
great
those
breakdown
hurdles.
of that
this
visually.
visualizes it really well.
Now go to capitalizing on marketing moments. Amazon, not ready to buy it, add it to your wish list.
Absolutely.
Amazon, now that you've decided to buy that, don't you also want these other things?
Yeah.
Here's
so what other people bought
article,
with it, right?
Oh, dude, this is
This
awesome.
article is just so fantastically done. And actually, I mean, read the rest of it too, because it actually goes into some really good examples. But the whole point of this article is you don't need a bot to achieve these things. Because here's the problem, Lauren, with chatbots. I'm just going to stop you right here. If a consumer is ever burned with a chatbot experience, they will see it as invaluable. And that's been proven in lots of research. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
The problem is more often than not, most chatbots are completely useless, not because of the technology, it's because of the implementation of it. So I can give you a perfect example. During the hurricane that came through Orlando, the last one, I had a package that was supposed to be delivered the day before the curfew came in for Orlando. Well, UPS just messed it up, and I went to their chatbot because all their lines were busy and all that, and their chatbot made itself appear as if it was advanced. And then I quickly found that no matter what you wrote, it put you to the same exact 3 different endpoints, regardless of what you wrote and what it interacted you with.
That's our workflow.
Yeah.
That's a poorly designed engagement.
Right.
And I can.
So here's the problem. But here's the problem with
More
chatbots,
content.
Lauren, is the majority of chatbots are garbage because the workflow was garbage. So the consumer knows this. And consumers, once they're burned by 1, 2, 3 of these done by big organizations, like, my God, go to your cable company's chatbot. Go to Duke Energy's chatbot. And what ends up happening is the consumers just look at that channel as, no, this is a garbage channel. This is not how I'm going to get what I want.
Right. Yep.
And everything you've said, I do not disagree with, but I also say that you're looking at it from a skeptical eye to support why the other variations you're talking about of engagement questions and answers is superior. I'm not even disputing that. I think if you can create the engagement that you're looking for and to be able to identify the context of what the guest is looking for as they discover your product, I think is awesome. But you made some assumptions of what I'm saying that aren't accurate. First off, I'm not referring to AI. I'm not referring to a bot as being an all-inclusive, all-usable experience. A bot engagement with a proper logic flow, workflow, targeted on certain platforms within your site can be a helpful addition in helping the guest discover the value proposition of that particular content.
Your answer is 100% true.
Right.
The problem is, Lauren,
Implementing
what
that
I'm
is
talking
hard.
about and what I'm talking about testing is something that once we get it dialed in, it will work for every hotel that wants to.
I
use
would welcome that, and I'm not saying
The
that it's a
problem with
comparison of being
chatbots-
better or worse than
The
bots.
problem,
I'm saying
the
right now
problem
is
with
like QR code.
chatbots is going to be it is always going to be dependent on the hotel to put it in correctly. The tech isn't
Agreed.
going to do it because with chatbot you get lazy and you get to just the specific things about your property, and versus the vendors.
And it's a
that will
finite,
be-
limited number. What really gets me about chatbots is you would never consider this for your phone system, right? You would never say, I'm going to eliminate real people and just do an automated phone tree or with a workflow of
I agree.
responses. You would never do it. So why are you doing it online? It's the same
wouldn't.
customer. They're just choosing to interact with you differently. Put a real
what's-
live agent behind your live chat. It's so much superior. It's a better experience.
Everything that you're
conversion
pointing
rate will be
about
higher.
bot problems is completely true. What I'm saying is what literally what I'm talking about is not using it in that context for that way. It's not using it as the de facto or only process. Oh, you can't get past it. You can't. It brings you to the same conclusion trees. I'm not talking about it. There's marginal assistances that bots can do if done
You're
well.
talking about an interactive
Well, yeah,
FAQ is what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, but
and I'm not saying it's better than what you're proposing. I'm saying it's like QR codes. People have been telling me that QR codes are dead man walking for 10 freaking years. And you know what? They're still getting used.
No,
And
they're
I'm still-
back.
They're actually on the increase.
They got a huge- Yeah, they got a huge
Increase.
shot in the arm when they got native support in the operating
From
systems
Apple,
of the phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But Lauren,
but the
don't
challenge.
don't take our problem with the chatbot as anything more than majority of it's done wrong today
Absolutely.
in the majority of industries, including industries that generally do things well.
Mhm.
So I'm not comfortable on this show, which is watched by 5 or 6 hotel users.
Well, no, there are 4 of us. Plus,
Right.
yeah, there's got to be someone else.
So
Eric was on earlier. So.
I'm not comfortable even recommending to a hotel that a chatbot should be a viable
Right.
thing that they look at, unless they're literally going to hire you to implement and upkeep it. Otherwise, no, I can't get behind saying it. Yes, a chatbot theoretically done right could do that. I have very little faith that it will
I've
be
yet to
done
see it.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I have very little faith that it will be done right. And so, like, I agree
I
that
agree. I'm not.
chances
it's better to
are
do it right
any
than not
one
it.
of us could implement one for a specific hotel incredibly well. But I'll tell you, within 6 months, unless we're being paid to stay there and update it and think about it, it's gonna break, and even that will eventually turn to garbage.
It's going
Right.
to create.
And it has to
It
be
might
maintained,
serve a perfect
improved.
function for some subset of your consumer, but it's going to, as many as people that benefit from it, there's going to be equal or greater number of people that are going to experience frustration and friction.
And
because
that's
of
a negative KPI.
Right. And
Again,
you've got to go
it-
through all those permutations, which is the problem, because what happens is you start going through it and then you get to an unanticipated outcome, right? Which is going to be, oh, you've got to call somebody or go to a chat session with an agent. Well, have you captured where exactly they are and how they answered all those questions? And are those being fed for that session, especially if they have to pick up if there's a phone and you're using, a third party and it's work at home
I would
agents or
agree.
who knows who's getting
How
it.
we're looking at
They
this-
need to know all the answers to what they already went through so they can pick you up right where you were and not go, oh, hi, what do you
Again,
need? It's like, I've just
you're
spent
looking-
15 minutes on your chat bot being told I need to call somebody, right?
Right,
Which
Robert.
is the standard process.
What I'm saying, the difference between our conversations of bot usage is like telling marketing, turn the faucet on everything, broadcast everywhere, blunt instrument, broadcast fit. You spend tons of marketing dollars just everywhere you can, use it everywhere because you don't know where it's going to come from. Compared to what I'm saying, surgically identifying, categorizing, and temporarily using constructively for specific things, communication levels that a bot can give. And not try to blunt instrument
But
on every.
why use a chatbot when you could use an FAQ at that point?
Because sometimes FAQs require discovery, where bots can at least guide you to a point of discovery.
What you're talking about is injected at specific points within the journey relevant answers to questions, which is exactly what Amazon does without the need of questions and answers. They actually just imply what the question is and answer it without you even asking.
How many hotels have effective site search, right? Where you can just type in a little, very few, and
that does.
Right.
Even our clients would go to do it, and they don't want to do it. I don't know why.
And let me tell you, even basic things, how to get to the hotel. Well, how many hotels say, here's if you're in New York, the closest subway stop. Here's how you get from Penn Station. Here's how you get from Grand Central.
They all have a
Here's
page
how you get from JFK. They got some page of some
Yep.
but you got to dig through it. It's not easily.
But Lauren, and again, the other point I'll make to counter your point is you're talking about using something as, so let me make sure I say this right. So the stuff that we're doing and we're trying to do is to try and uncover, are there better ways to present things? Not because we want to permanently productize that. It's because we're seeing everyone slip. Like, we watch everyone's conversion rates over the last 8 years continue to be going in the wrong direction, either in tiny increments or big increments. We see it. And the problem is even when they were at their best is still a huge missed opportunity. So we want to infuse things that help you understand what is each person really looking for, and then give you the ability to do something with that isn't a patch. Like, this could change the way you permanently do something, where what you're talking about is patching with a chatbot to fill the gap. Well, I got to tell you, if you're surgically using a chatbot to fill the gap, you're actually aware of the problem you have, and you could fix it in so many other ways, like Amazon does, which is, hey, you know what? At the different stages of the seconds people spend on the shopping cart, these are the things that we've learned that every consumer wants to know or feel or understand. So why not just anticipate the question and have it there, it right there?
Again,
and how many hotels even have?
I love your suggestion of what you're trying to do. I love the premise of it. I love the fact that, but you're making a comparison what I'm saying to it, and it's not fair, because what I'm offering as bot usage is way limited, and it is a patch. But right now, what you're talking about is theoretical introduction. Bots are an actual function that can go on right now that can serve value purpose if used correctly.
Lord, I'm willing to bet you I will have this productized before any hotel listening to this could actually implement a bot in the way you're talking about.
Yeah,
because no one's listening.
Because nobody's listening.
I had a couple of things working for me in that. As Stuart knows, we're getting ready to launch beta on it right now.
But the bottom line is going to be, how many hotels have effective landing pages for various personas, right? And then navigation that then supports what those individuals might have, that then carries through their booking engine. This was the
thing that we spent the most time on this, was creating a unified session across domains, because you have to be able to do that. So some of the stuff that we've been able to accomplish in the way this functions will actually solve for stuff that we don't even know how to productize what it's called. But like, let's say you get into Fuel's booking engine and you get to the end of it and you realize you needed to know something and you meant to open another tab to go to the hotel's homepage, but instead you just hit home and you're now on the hotel site again. Yeah. Stuart, correct me if I'm wrong. If they had already picked room types and dates and how many kids are with them, does that carry to the reset of the homepage?
If they're logged in, for us it does. Yeah.
Okay.
But if
On
they're
ours,
not,
it will
doesn't.
just carry in the session for you now.
Yeah, which is
It
great.
will function
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, because when
Even
all
if
that
they
stuff
even
is
if they haven't
lost,
unveiled, as long as
Yeah.
they don't knock down the session, we'll actually carry it all the way back so that if they see what they want to see, they can click and go right back to where they were with that stuff, as deep as we can get them with that stuff filled out.
right?
And as they go through and play around and go back and come forward, if they change any of those, we record the change. So
That's
we had, and that was incredibly technically difficult to do. And then we also had to do it in a way that wasn't going to be, easily susceptible to ad blocking software.
Yeah, I was
So-
going to ask
Yeah.
about cross-domain sessions, and especially on Safari, because they're
Yep.
pretty strict on that stuff.
Yep. So
If you've told that, that's great.
we had to do quite a bit of engineering, and we also had to make it fast. So we also had to completely figure out how to keep all of these experiences in the edges of the internet, not on our server, so it doesn't require round trip pings and stuff like that. And all of that was done before we even got to, okay, what's it going to do? We started with, can we even technically solve the problems? And it's very complicated. Now, the cool stuff about that is because of the cross-domain session capability, some of the functionality that will come from it for groups of hotels is going to be sick, because you'll be able to bounce from hotel site to brand,
That's
or
right.
group site down to another hotel site, and have all of that like in a concurrent single session. And then the hotels, if they can warm up to the idea, will actually be able to arrange relationships with content creators, DMOs, to actually use other people's content on other people's domain and direct their people to it. And we actually designed it so it will nuke all ads, all links on that experience on that page, and make them all come back to your session at the hotel. So it's going to be neat.
That's
and,
great.
And so, Lauren, this is why I take, yes, theoretically, and actually I go without theoretically, I believe you could do a lot of those things with a chatbot for one of your clients.
Right.
I do not believe the industry as a whole can do what you're talking about.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
At all.
But again, it's one
And so
instrument versus a surgical instrument. But I guess what I'm saying, and it sounds really weird because I love bleeding edge and love trying new things, and I always advocate. And you're usually the one that anchors down on the reality side of things. I'll still drive my Yugo to the grocery store while I wait for the spaceship to be built, because I'm still going to go over and use what I got.
Well, and I'll still hold true to it right now, Lauren. I'm willing to bet a hotel off the street that tries to do any of this stuff, I will have it done and productized and proven
And I have
before they can
guys
even
that rock the
implement
world. I really
Right.
do. I think
correctly.
we rock the world with that, and it's going to be a whole new
And-
way of people understanding how to engage with their guests.
Well, it's
I
a different way of thinking.
Be the first in
It
line to
is.
get.
That's the issue. It's not really the technology. I mean, you can do the chatbot and have the thing structured. It's just the same way people are doing, skills for voice, right? You
Right.
can kind of build one, but what you've got to get really deep into it, and it's the strategy that drives everything, and that's where everything falls apart, right? Because they start thinking about, oh boy, to really do this right, that's going to be hard, because we got to, what can we do for? It's the whole minimum viable product type thing, right? And the problem with these customers are, you don't know exactly, you don't have enough signals to really pick up what are they looking for. Now it sounds like with that stuff, that's why I was kind of going, all hail. That's great. I mean, because you're collecting a lot of really interesting signals that you can wind up doing stuff with. But if you're kind of in there cold, you got to ask them a bunch of questions and send them through a bunch of stuff. And if every single one of those questions, I think some really interesting research would be, it's like, it's been done on the voice level, right? For the voice response system. But every level you go down, the expectations and the dissatisfaction from failure, increase
the stick of
geometrically.
failure of expectation on automated chat or automated voice is so huge. The deeper you go, so it's riskier. The more sophisticated of a flow you build in automated,
the better the higher the expectations, and the higher the risk of failure.
Yep.
Right. Well, we'll quote Tim since he's not here again anyway. If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's what people have been using bots for. They've been shoving it into places to do stuff to replace things that it shouldn't try to even be replaced with. And,
Right.
and create this failure rate and this dissatisfaction level and everything else. I completely agree with the fact that it's an inferior solution, a Band-Aid as it were. But from a functionality point of view, I do not throw the whole baby out with the bathwater and say that it is a useless promotion to push if not done correctly. I do agree, as an industry, we will continue to fail in its implementation because we basically will treat it like.
I also think the concept to me is sort of offensive because we're the hospitality industry, and what is less hospitable than showing someone some vanilla, chatbot when you have reservations sitting there answering the phone? Have them manage your live chat. There's
Right.
there's
And now
absolutely no business
I like
in any
the
hotel having a chat.
architectures. I love the architectures that get you quickly to a path of a live chat with someone. I love live chat. I live chat. Any business that offers live chat, I prefer that any day over calling.
And you know what it does? It drives your online conversion rate up tremendously when you have a live chat on the website.
But you mentioned cable. You mentioned cable company though.
Okay.
You mentioned cable company.
I'm putting this in for the people that don't want to talk to somebody when they check in a hotel. They want to find their own answers. They don't mind the engagement of a well-user experience, your experience of getting them, as Ed says, directed towards the content they're most interested in. But I certainly don't say put it in front of the fact that not do live engagement. To give a hospitality engagement there, those people should always have that avenue of opportunity, and it should be forefront. But for those who want to,
in the form of a search, it should be forefront in the form of a search. Yeah. You should provide all the answers you can, and then add a search, and then every single week you should look at the response, the questions being typed into your search, and be making sure you're publishing content at the right time, and
just
looking at where that person was when they in the funnel when they asked that question.
And just like what you do with your attribution strings, when you look at your attribution strings, why are they pulling into my organic page of 20 things to do when I'm in the city? And then you notice that it's connected to particular ad campaigns about an event. Let's isolate that event and create its own content so that we can amplify the conversion of usability for that content. Exactly what I'm talking about. That bots can still satisfy some of those unique features, not in replacement of engagements, not in replacement of full engagement, but as a Band-Aid in the current world of things.
Well,
that
I would argue,
I
give up the opportunity to talk to a customer. Why would you ever choose to give up that opportunity to talk to a customer?
Never. Again, you're putting it in front of all those other solutions. I'm saying this is an augmentation. This is an additional engagement when used precisely for certain things that can help the experience that people are looking for, that they don't want the engagement. They want their own answers. They want to be guided to the content most interested without having to step into somebody's conversation.
All right. Well, when you find a hotel that's done this well with a chatbot, you send me the link.
Actually,
and I'll eat humble pie. But they don't.
You know what? I'll go one further. Hotel, retail, or restaurant. You find any business in hotel, retail, or restaurant that's done this.
There's some in fashion.
Level.
There's some in fashion who are doing some pretty interesting stuff, I would say.
Yeah. But I want to be directed to it because I also want to do what I now do with every automated messaging system. Is my first question is, are you a human? And then if they come back and don't answer, then I'll ask, what color is George Washington's white horse?
Yeah.
Again, you're treating it as a blunt instrument, and I can't fight.
No,
it's
not. It's
is
not a blunt
RoboChat. Yeah. See, the thing is RoboChat or chat, they look alike. I'm sorry, they do.
You got to be truthful to your guest engagement always. Never once do you make a bot that acts like.
But here's the thing: a RoboChat, consumers don't know that chat doesn't really exist in an automated sense. It's all going to be very well defined and laid out. Consumers don't know this. So the fact is, you open something that looks like a chat box. You're setting an expectation that they're going to have a similar or close to similar experience of chatting with this thing that you put in front of them.
And when they can't spell very well, that gets more difficult.
Oh, gosh.
It's tough.
The unfortunate reality of what people have tried to do to this stuff that has caused these problems to exist. And I'm saying if you're truthful with your engagement and you're accurate with what it's using it for, and you're not trying to replace any other better engagements, it has a value.
Sounds great in super utopian land, but again, send us an example of someone that's doing it right.
Yeah. Okay. And the big issue is a business issue, because why are they using automated chatbots? Because they're less expensive than having humans, right? I mean, most of it is
people are lazy.
They're not
Right.
easier.
And
That's
so-
the funny thing about it,
I'll-
though.
I'll
They're
counter-
only
that's the thing.
easier if
Yeah.
they're going to do
So,
them
the
wrong.
amount of work
It's easier to
that-
check the box to say you
Okay.
did it.
Right.
I will
But
challenge
here's the problem. That's why.
Hold on, Robert.
No,
Hold on.
hang
I'll
on.
challenge
Oh, no,
the
no. Let
content.
me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
No,
All right.
let me finish.
I was
Can I
saying,
finish? Can I finish?
no, it's a cost saving thing. Where they start cutting out, they go minimum viable product, and then they start looking at looking at all the stuff and updating it and actively
Everything you say
managing it.
is true.
All that
I'm
is
not
more
saying that's
cost,
value.
and then it gets
Robert,
cut off.
I disagree. You're right. People do that wrong. I'm not saying to use it for that. I'm saying that you use it correctly, and I'll put against your challenge. So everything that I've said that I would want to use a bot for, it's exactly what you do your CRM with, but you're not denying that value. Wait a minute.
the same.
Hold on.
I don't
More
know.
people do
How many
CRM
Data?
right.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
they aren't
what
doing
I'm-
more-
CRM
hold on,
right
hold on.
either.
There are more examples of CRM done right than there are chatbots done right.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Not in the
disagreeing with you.
hospitality
The
industry,
logic,
but
you
yeah.
just put yourself in a hole.
Actually, yes, there are.
Well, maybe
Condemn the
that's
logic.
actually that's true. Yeah.
You condemn the logic, and then the same logic is used for your CRM, but you don't condemn it there.
No, I disagree because
Uh.
one doesn't scale, right? So if you're talking
Right.
about a consumer coming to you with wanting a conversation,
Nope. I'm
you don't
not.
have to scale.
I'm not. I'm not.
That's what
I'm
a
not.
chatbot is, right?
I'm
That's
not.
what
No,
the
it's not.
chatbot.
And
No,
you're
it's
having
not.
a completely different conversation than we were having.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a chatbot replacing anything.
You were.
You
You said,
made-
couldn't you use a
you made the
chatbot in
point.
place
It
of making those types of changes? That was actually how you started this premise.
No, the premise of it has a value proposition to it, not that it's the solution for it. That it has a value proposition. The logic of engagement with a properly designed workflow with a bot, specifically targeted based on content of use, is the same logic that you use your CRM platform workflow for.
Completely different.
Okay.
Completely different.
Completely
Okay,
different.
here's
There's
what
a
I would
difference
say.
in
Scale difference. There's a
expectation of
complete
I would
scale
engagement.
difference.
say the key
The
is
customization of
the
content
workflow.
specific to the interest of the user is what your CRM workflow is built for. I'm talking about the same usage for a bot.
Yes, all we're talking about is bot sets a different expectation of customer experience that has not been met by many or most or any, versus I can say
And I'm saying I
CRM
don't
personalization. There's way more
when-
examples
When,
of
when
that
I send an
being used
email
wrong.
out from
Of course.
my hotel, no one's sitting there saying, "Oh, that was really nice." The general manager sat there and typed it out. There's no illusion that that is anything
Again,
other
I
than a
agree with
marketing
you
email.
because they're trying to act like they're replacing something. I'm telling you, I'm not replacing anything. It clearly says this is not a human.
You actually said in your thing, we can go back and listen to the recording. You said, couldn't you use chatbots and do a similar thing?
A refinement of what the guest is looking for. Can you? That was the premise. I asked that as a question.
Yeah.
Do you think there's value to it?
I
did
think
you
it was
stress
obvious how the three of us
the
feel about it.
context of how it's still valuable?
Well, no,
No, okay, let's
the
rewind.
key
like
is the workflow.
45
The
minutes.
workflow.
Let's just say no.
Right?
The key
Yeah.
is identifying the guest needs and defining those workflows, and to make sure that those work really well with your website, your FAQs, your navigate, all that stuff, and make sure that works really well.
Right. So
Can you
like
have a
Robert said,
chatbot?
no.
Right. Yeah. I mean, get that stuff working,
You're putting way
and
too many
then you can
caveats
start.
that we know don't exist in this industry.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Do the basics,
I love
and
when
then
Lauren digs
you
his
can have-
nails
you
down on
can-
the subject. It's awesome.
You
can
know what?
have.
I'll even give you this.
Then you can have the
Find
chatbot
me a
help you.
really good FAQ page on a hotel site that does a
Yeah, I
really
know.
good job, and that I will find surprising.
Right, exactly. On all of those, they got to cover the basics. These guys don't. Yeah, we can use a UCF football analogy or something like that.
I'd rather not.
They got to get the basic fundamentals done before they get tricky.
Once my campaign is
On
done,
offense and defense.
once my campaign is done that I'm putting out for a client, where I'm using a bot specific for promotion that acts like an FAQ for that specific promotion. Okay.
Okay.
That
Send it over.
identifies specific content about that offer that answers that you're not going through a massive list of FAQ or searchability or do you use the right word, but actually guides the conversation of that particular campaign about the benefits, value proposition, questions raised that come from the offer itself. I'll tell you whether that was a success.
And Lauren, like I said, I believe someone like you could do it.
Right.
but I do not believe that there is commercially viable statements
And I
in
never
saying
disagree
that
with you.
in
There's
general
so
it could
many
be
bad examples
done.
of bot
I think
exploitation
with an
and bullshit.
MVP effort, it can be done. I do not think systematically it can be done well.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying that the solution is an industry-wide solution because it's been abused already with all the perfectly agreeable problems you pointed out with it, how it's bad. And it's true. And QR codes had the same grief and guff of them. I'm just saying.
I know there used to be people that I ran into that would in their email signature have QR codes.
QR codes, yeah.
And I would always look at that and go, what? Why? It's
because
an
I built
email
it 50 years ago, and I
signature.
love leaving it there because it just annoys the crap out of you.
Drives me nuts because you're misusing the technology.
Right. Yeah.
I built that in 2001. I think.
Now, Ed, the use case for that is the people who have their assistant print out all of their emails so they can read it, and then they're gonna use
reader.
And the ones who have a smartphone with the QR code reader who are then going to take a shot of it so they can get it themselves. Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
So anyway, actually, you were saying, wait, hang on. There was one other thing. There was a great little company. This was a few years ago, called Universe. I don't know if you guys ever came across it. They're out of the UK. I believe they failed.
Stewart's probably related to them then.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So,
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Wait, they're from South Africa? I had no idea. But anyway, these guys went out and basically had, for the discovery level, they basically did it with images, and they had this very nice thing like, how do you want to feel? How do you want to eat? How do you want to stay? And they showed I can't remember, it was like 9 and it was very, very cool. The problem is when you got through it, they didn't have enough content that would really differentiate anything. And you wound up with a final. Exactly. And it's like, great, you only got this stuff to sell me. All of these questions are now completely irrelevant because you only have these
my time. Yep.
Exactly.
Well, and
I think you will be able to get there. I think with that sort of approach, and it'd probably be the OTAs or whoever have a lot of product and have a lot.
There's actually
here's what they want to do.
Good examples of experimental change in search of like how do you search for your trip and everything. The problem is more often than not, it's not the OTAs who came up with them. They're these independent startups that think that's the secret sauce that's going to nail it, when like it's like, no, it's getting all the contracts, all the individual contracts with the hotels, and until you're past that problem, this isn't going to matter.
You're a feature, not a
like
business.
These sliders on like things you cared about, and I was like, I mean, it's great. The problem as a business you have is as soon as you prove that's what the consumer wants, Expedia and Booking.com and all of them can build this
absolutely
in probably a half a day with their engineering team.
And IBM has a patent on that from the late 90s, and it was this guy, and I spoke to him at length. It was very interesting. It's called the Glass Engine.
Okay.
And it was all of Philip Glass's music, and you could say, here's the kind of stuff I want to listen to, and it'd give you like the subset. And it was very good. And IBM patent thought this is going to be a great UI for like everything. So we were talking about travel with it. And again, there are just so many variables, and you needed to load it with, you need it to be much more.
Only OTAs can do something like that.
Well, or a passive experience where you know a bunch about the behavior of this individual, where you know what they like, and you can accurately predict what they're going to like, and then you have a huge amount of content on the back end that can fulfill all of those
like this
changes,
is the funny thing about it is if you had all the fundamentals solved, you generally wouldn't have these problems, right? Like name someone that you work with that's a hotel that you actually feel, wow, they have so much great content that their problem is wireframing it and feeding it to people.
Well, they do have 2 or 3 angles of the porte cochere. They have it when you're driving in. They've got the straight on shot where you can see the name of the hotel. And, and then the model standing at the front desk of somebody, greeting the guest. So anyways, Lauren,
I haven't seen you digging your heels like this in a long time.
Love what you're doing, Ed. Though the stuff that
Thanks.
you're working on, I really.
If you
would be
wanna-
very interested
If
in
you,
that.
if you want to take a look at like the initial, because the other big part about this that we wanted to make sure of is, because we don't know if we're right, is we developed it that it's permanently in variant testing mode. So even like
Yeah.
when you think you got a version right, it will always have a small portion of your web traffic going to what you had before. So
Oh,
in real
that's great.
time, you're always measuring it. And I showed Stuart how we kind of figured out high level feeding that like variant performance all the way down to like UI wise, how you will be able to look at the variance of, because we're talking about, we're not just building this as like path end to booking engine done. It's got like, different stages of abandonment will actually kick off different interactions. And so it's fairly complex. So we needed to figure out a way to like never have to have a conversation with someone saying you're converting better because of this. It's like, no, just go look at the data, and the data is real time. It's not data from before you worked with this. Like every month it's, whatever percent, and you actually can set in the UI what percentage of web traffic goes to what path of experience.
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing you're going to run into though is going to be you start getting into like hard filtering and soft filtering when they really start looking. I want a hotel in New York City with a swimming pool that has 24-hour rooms, all this, and how you figure out
cases, who
or expanding radiuses.
This is going to be like, so this is more
individual
the person's already on the hotel's website is where this is picking up. So you've gotten there by figuring out some general decisions already. This is just about, can we figure out, and this sounds crazy, but I said this to Stuart at one point, like my goal would be is to get rid of all useless traffic that hands off to the booking engine and instead just answer that traffic's question. Because then you would actually be able to truly understand of people who actually stood a chance of converting, how does the booking engine convert? So much traffic that goes to the booking engine. There are so many reasons people will go into the booking engine that isn't to complete a booking.
Right.
So part of what I want to figure out is like, what are those things? Should we feed it earlier? It's not just availability. It's a general understanding of price, general understanding. Good luck. Good luck getting a picture of a
room
hotel
types.
room. Right.
Yeah. What do these rooms look like? Yeah, I'm thinking of a
That's
suite.
one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why
2 bedrooms or how's that
we
laid out?
fragmented up and added additional pages in one of our clients that their room types are actually shown, so you can see room types without having to go through the booking engine to see the room types. You can actually see the different, and not just in the accommodations page where you're just showing your best rooms, but the actual room type that you're considering. But one of the other things that again, because this is forefront in my mind about what I just
digging
did.
in, boys. He's digging in.
It's the fear of is FOMO, the fear of missing out. If by being selective in the filtering what you expose does create a pushback, I feel that, well, what are you not showing me? Why are you only showing me this? Yes, I appreciate that you've tailored the content to what I said I was interested in, but what didn't you show me? There's always that FOMO thing, So, that has to be some measure of being able to get out of that pit that people can still see beyond what they've been filtered out.
You can get around that with design. One of the things we do on our booking engine when someone searches and some of the inventory is not available is we'll show what's available at the top, and then underneath is what's not available, and it's grayed out. So you can still see it, but there's a design difference. So it's very clear that you can't book that right now. But we also give them the option to click a calendar, to Ed's point earlier, and say, it is available on these dates. So if you want to tweak your check-in, checkout date, you can actually go and book this room if you really wanted this room. So.
I'll be first in line for that. I think brilliant. I really do.
Stuart had to take out the part, though, that actually showed this was booked a week ago for about half the price that you're looking at now, you idiot.
we do the urgency messaging. We do the booking.com, 27 people booked this in the last whatever, or 2 units left, but we haven't done any of the price change stuff yet, which Google's really getting into. If you keep an eye on their Google Trip stuff, it's going to be interesting to see what impact that has on rate management.
And to that end, what Google is exposing as content when you're looking at hotels on their thing is probably a bit of a benchmarking process too. Rate variations based on dates.
Oh, you bet.
Location interest and ranking as to what's around in the immediate areas.
Yeah. Well, this is the biggest problem. This is the biggest problem hotels have with Google becoming more and more involved in this space, because I don't know about you guys, but when I need to find flights, the first thing I do is a general Google search, because it will also tell you generally, like timing wise,
Yeah.
where are you going to get the best pricing. So as Google gets deeper into hotel selling, if you think your whole game of, oh, you know what, I'll just move my rates because my demand's soft, well, you're doing that in a pattern. Google's going to sense that pattern, and Google's going to tell people that you do that, which then invalidates your revenue management practice.
Because it nullifies the impact for it. Yeah, absolutely.
The impact. You
Good
look
hotels,
at what Hopper,
well managed, well marketed, well rate managed hotels are going to love this, right? Because it's just going to screw the competition's going to get screwed. The people that wait till the last minute and dump rate are going to be in big trouble from this.
Yeah,
big trouble. But if you're yielding up gradually over time, and Google sees that, they're always going to tell people the best time to book is right now. You know. So you got to rate manage the appropriate way.
And that's what Hopper's doing to the airline industry. I mean,
Google does
those guys are
the airline industry. You can do it right in Google Airline Search. Will tell you, you know, you can subscribe to the route and the specific like plane, and it will tell you like if it moves in price at all and how likely it is to move in price. If you don't think that same exact thing is going to be done to hotels,
absolutely. And Hopper, Hopper wasn't. I don't know if they're still working on the hotels. They launched it and pulled it back because it was really substandard. But Hopper says wait, right? And it's interesting because they'll say wait, and then I don't know how they're figuring out. I think they're still testing. You can save $6 maybe, or you can save 12, or you can save 50. I think they're starting to figure out now when you get close enough, it's like, hey, buy it now. Yeah, you could, if you wait, you maybe could save something, but just do it. And let me tell you, the Hopper is not really well known, but I think they're traveling. A lot of people are now starting to really rely on that, and they have some authority saying, "Don't buy the thing you want to buy right now." If you run
a hotel that does not do really good revenue practice, these are bad things for you.
Wait.
Yeah, because let's go back to Stuart's travel research. Trip planning for the vast majority of people, I am. You look at it, it's between 1 and 2 months out is when the majority of travelers are making their bookings, but also 1 to 3 months out is when the majority of travelers are starting their travel planning based on that data.
You bet.
So if your whole thing is like dump and rate last minute, as these tools step up, you're gonna start seeing, wow, like most of my travelers are booking the week before. And it's a snowball that's gonna be hard to undo,
and it's already beginning now, and we don't have that visibility. People have just been trained to wait because they can, and they've gotten away with it. But especially in destinations that are heavily reliant on drive-in market, and heavily dependent on the weather, people have already begun to wait, and it's just going to get worse.
And you look at destination resorts, right? People book a year in advance. They rebook when they check out, right? And the smart resorts do that. Hey, would you coming back next year? You might as well book now, and we'll give you whatever percentage, whatever. We'll give you a deal. Let's do it now.
In the last minutes of the show, I want to make sure we hit the high tech stuff and the booth stuff and the fact that you have the stuff, Stuart, and everything that you're going to be handing out. But I have one question I wanted to ask. I totally forgot until you brought this up. I wanted to ask your quick opinion on a decaying coupon.
A decaying coupon? Is this like one that was stuck in
it becomes less valuable? Like
it was stuck in a couch cushion or on a floor of a car?
It's 25%, but
no,
20%.
Flip the time. It's worth more longer out you book, and decays in its value the shorter time you book.
That's what I was saying. So the longer you have the coupon, so the second I get the coupon, if I use it, it's worth 25% off. But
that's not what he's saying.
Later,
No.
He's saying that the discount for booking 90 days in advance is greater than the discount for booking 60 days in advance, or
30 days in advance, or 14 days in advance.
Or your discount reduces.
It's a non-refundable
but that
booking.
slides. That slides with you. So whether you book on January 1 or December 1, it's the 90 days out from when you book.
Right.
So you're just adding greater incentives for booking further in advance. That's all it is.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So the coupon never diminishes in value itself. It's just
No.
telling you a sliding scale of value based on
Right.
how
If you
far in
book something
advance.
within 7 days, it's worth 10% off. If you book something 30 days, it's worth 20% off.
regardless of when you book. So the
Are these
coupon's
tied
valuable
to-
today.
are
as
these
it was
tied
last week.
to
There could be an
individual?
expiration on it. We're offering it until September 1st or something.
And this is just generally available, not
I will say
you know,
this.
fully transferable, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So-
you hand it to somebody, whatever.
So we've
Just,
got clients that do something similar. They don't call it a coupon, but they just push out a
Wow,
deal
I-
where it's 20% off if you book 90 days in
Yeah.
advance or whatever it is. And it definitely gets some play, especially from their
What's
their
the cancellation
outbound
rate?
marketing. Huh?
Do they allow
Yeah, is it-
cancels?
Yeah, is it non-cancelable, non-refundable, or how?
No,
how do you
they
run it?
allow cancellations. It's not a it's not like a prepaid or anything. They'll take a deposit and
Yeah, I wasn't going to make it a
cancel.
prepaid requirement either. I was going to.
Give it a
We
try.
played a short
Well,
window.
or if you make a change, you buy it 90 days out, but then you make a change 30 days out? Does your discount
Yeah,
reduce?
does your discount reduce?
Or do you still keep the
Depends
do
what
whatever.
change you make, right? I mean, it would be the rate's
like
going to be different.
like a guest name?
But that's no different than if your rate
Email
went up or
address.
down anyway, right? You're already dealing with those problems.
Or
so
if you
regardless.
book 7 days and then cut it down to 2, your rate's going to change.
Why?
Yeah,
You know, I mean that's
Yeah.
that's just rev strategy.
well, that's
I mean,
standard practice. I mean, why would
No, I
your
know,
rates
but-
different?
Again,
No, I'm
yeah.
just wondering if how
I
locked
was just
in
curious.
you
I was
are
just
with
what your
that.
thoughts were on it.
Yeah.
We did a short little one on a 30-day, just a quick promotion of it. That if you book, and we did this thing, but it was only a 2-week window, and we got great longer bookings
Yeah.
for it. And
Anytime you offer
How
an
did they-
incentive for something, you're going to get more of people
How'd they
doing
do
that,
from a
right?
cancellation perspective versus
Yeah.
your normal cancellation rate?
I didn't make that comparison yet. I haven't.
That would be the only
That
thing
would
I'd
be
interested
very
in seeing.
interesting. Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
it was the same as your normal cancellation rate, then yeah, it's a great idea. But if it's higher, then I would still
That's good.
continue
I'll ask.
to
We haven't
keep it.
made that comparison yet. We didn't look at the cancellation change.
And then I would ask, like, if it's truly this valuable, if there's a certain amount of rooms that it's this valuable to have sold far in advance, why don't you do a really aggressive,
Yeah.
prepaid, non-refundable,
Build a base. Yep.
right, and build your base? If it's 10 rooms, if it would make all the difference in the hotel to have 10 rooms more guaranteed this far out, then why aren't you just like, why isn't that an always thing? Not,
Well, we
you know,
thought about doing this, modifying this, to be honest with you, in the sense of filling some gap holes where you have weekly lulls that we are offering unique feature value proposition discounts for those windows as a lead up of saying, hey, you know what, the third week of August is soft. It's not picking up. It historically doesn't pick up. So we're offering this advanced discount for that time window that if you book now for it, and we're not offering it as a prepay only or anything like this. We're just looking to fill. We're looking to see if it sparks.
I'd be interested
So
to
it's,
see
so it's only make it's
if you made
limited.
it 5% better of a discount, how many people would book it 90, 120 days in advance on a non-refundable rate?
Right. Like I said, it was one of these little quirky things we had done for a 30-day window. I just didn't know making it a longer window whether
Well,
they're
30
being-
day is within the range of when people are booking anyways. Like go
It's a
out
standard
the window.
reservation. Yeah,
That's
no.
a standard reservation. Go 90 days.
Yeah.
Go 120 days.
Right. That's why I was saying we wanted to expand the window because we haven't gone through the whole booking window of when we did this offer to know, to your point, the cancellations yet. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, but it's a question we
I
can
don't-
ask.
I have not
So do
looked
they
at
use
that
a
number
coupon
specifically,
code?
but for our client that does the 90 days out, that I have not noticed anything, that's significant from a cancellation.
Have you had any clients mess with like really laying the foundation, like making it an actual deal?
Yeah.
Because we are going to get to a point where if Google does point this knowledge to the consumer, you're not going to
Yeah.
be able to count on being able to drop your price last minute. You're going to have to let the room go
Right.
empty.
That's a
Otherwise,
lot of my
it's
clients
open
have gotten to that point where they'll offer super incentives for early bookings, especially that a lot of them have created kind of pseudo Cyber Monday type environments
Right.
where every
Mhm.
year they'll have some kind of fire sale and they'll lead up to it, but it's for bookings in far in advance, 6 months out, and it. I mean, even Cyber Monday is phenomenal. I mean, millions of dollars are booked on our clients across our sites on that day, and it's all for next summer. It's not,
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
we've
not
had great
next
success
day.
on reminder stuff in context of our distributions on the CRM side of like dates
Yeah.
to remember. This is the time now we have our rates available for the such and such fest.
Yeah.
So that you'll get your bookings in now, so that you can
Yeah.
secure your room for the event next year.
Well, because
You know.
just by reminding them gives
Mhm.
it a feeling of you're telling them you get really busy for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would even be
Yeah.
effective for stuff in soft times. Is
Yeah.
reminding them that we open up rates for September 14th, whatever.
Should I remind people that New York going on July 4th weekend is a wonderful thing to do because
Yeah.
it's so busy.
Yeah.
Although I
would
do
say,
that-
Lauren, if you have these soft spots, then find reasons to talk to the guests that do come during that time and
Right.
find out why they're coming, and then promote
And then-
that. It might be that it's these weird little events. It might be that they
Right.
like the fact it's a little quieter. That
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons that people come. So
I
find
now
out
go to
why
South
people come and then
Florida
promote that.
in August because it's a ghost town and it's 10 degrees cooler than Orlando.
Mhm. Mhm.
And since I found that out, like these are resorts that are $1,500 a night in season for $200 a night with free green fees and like no resort fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a great
yeah.
time.
And it's 10 degrees cooler than Orlando. So it is a break, and I can go stay at the Breakers or Boca Resort, for what is basically the resort fee.
Right.
Um,
right.
Yeah.
Very true.
And since I discovered that and now I think about that, like once I discovered that, I was like, man, I wish hotels would tell me
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
you know
Mhm.
what? There is some reason to be here. Now there are markets it's tough, like Myrtle Beach in January. Like you guys did a good job finding who would want to be there because it's not the
hit or
weather's
miss, man.
the weather's
Yeah,
not
the weather's
great.
not great.
But that's where a lot of tour operator and core like bed bank business got. I mean, the amount of people from Texas who go to Cancun or someplace or Puerto Vallarta or Cabo in the summer when it is damn hot down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
you
listen,
find
January
the people.
Myrtle
and-
Beach,
yeah,
it's nothing but Canadians, and they're in
Yeah,
bathing suits
exactly.
and on the beach.
exactly.
It's
Crazy
crazy.
Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Want to make sure that we hit the fact that High Tech is next week. It's in Minneapolis. Also, HSMA's Revenue Optimization Conference, ROC, is running at the same time, which we've always talked about as being strange. But anyways, I know that Stuart, your booth
It's a
is
rock.
It's right. It's a rock. You have a booth there. You're giving away what? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. What was the thing again?
We are going to be at booth 2920, showing off our amazing, super mobile friendly booking engine, which crushes conversion rate compared to anything else on the market. Our AI powered CRM, Robert, I want you to come by and I will show you how it's real AI, not this pretend AI that other people are talking about. It is legit cool machine learning. And we'll be giving away these free, awesome 2019 travel studies. Free of charge.
You'll say you'll
Personally
sign.
autographed by.
I will be glad to autograph. And on top of all that, if that is not enough, then we have the ultimate draw to the booth. Lauren Gray is going to be there with me doing
talking about
interviews.
chatbots.
Not
Wait a
talking about
second.
chatbots, but we'll be interviewing attendees and suppliers and finding out what the buzz is at this year's event.
wait.
And then we'll publish all the interviews on live on YouTube and Facebook, Lauren. Is that right?
Yes.
And then we'll be editing them down and putting them out in future podcast episodes as well. So
Wow.
Yep.
And wait,
Lots of
how
cool
long
stuff.
ago was High Tech in Minneapolis? Is that like 5 years ago?
It's been
So-
about 5 or 6. Yeah.
it's more than
More?
that, I think.
More than
Yeah.
that? Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
okay. So, but anyway, the statute of limitations have lapsed, and the restraining order against Lauren reappearing in Minneapolis are now.
Hey,
now
who knew you couldn't
great.
do that with the statue of Mary Tyler Moore? I mean, come on.
Everyone is the answer to that question.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that in mind, I know, Mr. Ed, we're going to miss you because you're not going to go. This is the year that you're not going.
It's my off year.
It's your off year, but we will be talking about you. You know that.
He only goes on
Cooler
even
than
numbers.
Orlando. It's going to be cooler there than Orlando.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's
but I'm going to be in Lake Geneva the following week at a conference,
Oh, there you
and it
go.
will be really nice there.
It will be.
Fancy.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice. That will be nice. So, Mr. Ed, if people want to know more about Flip 2, where can they go, sir?
You can go to flip.to, or you can find me on social media, Edward St. Ange.
And Mr. Robert Cole, sir, everything about Rock Cheetah and the.
Oh, wait. Or you could look up Frito on the Fuel podcast.
Is that FRI.to or is that FRE.to?
Spell it how you want. It's audio.
Yeah. Mr. Robert?
At rockcheetah.com or at Robert K. Cole.
And you are thinking about putting these curated lists out there, aren't you? You're actually building a possibility that people can subscribe to these?
I'm trying to figure that out. But I just have not
London
had time.
Publications charges a pretty penny for a list basically like this every week.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, well,
Yeah.
So.
And for those who have gotten the list that are on the marketing board of HSMAI, more than one person has said that they rely on this list to keep them up to date each week.
Yeah,
I feel like you need to charge, Robert.
Yeah,
I know. I need to figure that out. So.
Because it is a great list. And for right now, until Robert does decide to charge, it will be available at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live on each of the shows. And Mr.
Actually,
Stewart,
that would be really interesting, Robert. You charge for the delivery of the list, but we'll still cover the list on the show.
oh no!
which
As soon as he starts
people-
charging,
But then it forces people to watch the show to see if we end up covering anything in the
And we don't.
list.
Yeah.
there's method to my madness.
Exactly. So.
And the answer is always no, we didn't.
No,
Yeah.
we're not talking about that. And Mr. Stewart, other than the fact that we will be able to spend some quality time together next week, don't your podcast and everything else, Fuel Travel.
Fueltravel.com is the mothership, and fueltravel.com/podcast is where the podcast is. Or you can just search for Fuel Hotel Marketing Podcast anywhere you listen to those, and you will get a delight in your ear holes.
Yeah, and we apologize to Tim Peter. We didn't have enough time on the show for him today.
Wait, Stuart, you work for a marketing agency and your tagline is you'll get a delight in your ear holes. Really?
No, our tagline.
Have you tested that?
You really
A new
do sound like an
tagline.
ear hole when
We
you say
haven't. Our
things
new
like that.
tagline is the Fuel Hotel Marketing Podcast: shenanigans and occasional tomfoolery. That is our new tagline.
That's good. That's
And
like
I am going to
No, you
record
guys
my
aren't trying.
your jingle about news to ruse. So I'm just
Yeah,
letting you
the
know.
news-
We need
News.
someone to submit an actual jingle for the Newsaroos. That would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't
so.
know. I like the humility of the person who, like, you
Yeah,
can
Pete-
hear it
Pete
in their
always thinks
voice.
that
No, but
You know
when
what's great?
Pete's not there, and the other
someone
person,
else has to do it. Yeah.
and you can always hear in the voice of, "Oh, we're still doing this."
yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of defeated. Yeah, I drew
Yeah.
the short
Oh,
straw.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks for getting my my dander up on bots today.
And for all of you who now feel differently about Lauren, just understand this was nothing more than a deep fake video. So it's
Yeah, Lauren wasn't actually on the
Lauren.
show tonight
Yeah.
today.
we have another one with Ed going nuts on blockchain will solve everything. Same sort
and
of.
we have one on Stewart on Airbnb. So we have a nice little
There you
Pandora
go.
box.
That's exactly true.
Exactly.
All right. With that, everyone, thank you so very much. And remember, this
Hey,
is going
Lauren,
to
where
go.
can they find you? buddy?
Yeah,
You
Lauren,
did
where
say-
can they find you?
Lauren,
What? I did. hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live for this and all previous 200 episodes.
Awesome.
And while Robert doesn't yet charge for his list, you can see the old list.
Of old news.
Old
right.
news. Yeah. But the new news might get paid a fee. But
Old
anyways,
news, isn't that just history?
yeah, that's like
That's
history. Were we right? Were we wrong? You know? Oh, well.
That's right.
Thank you, everyone. And we will talk to everyone next week. Both live shows and our show will be on Friday as normal. So we'll talk to everyone then. Bye now.
bye.
See you guys.